Yeah, and right now I just want to make sure everybody understands that you're looking at Palm South Jones Mortuary. This is where his body currently is, and we understand that it will be taken from here in a procession that will wind through the Las Vegas Valley. It will go from here to 95, and from there it will go to Interstate 15 south to Sahara, and then from Sahara all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard, the place that we call the Strip. And you can see a door is open right now, so it looks like things are starting to get underway here at Palm South Mortuary on Jones on the west side of the Las Vegas Valley.
And we see the honor guard there with his casket. Let's go ahead and take in this sombering scene.
Yes.
With a flag draped over it now in the hearse. Our Evan Schreiber is there at the funeral home there, Palm South Jones Mortuary. And Evan, a lot to take in this moment. So many people paying their deference, many of his colleagues there with you. What else can you tell us about this monumental moment?
Latoya, you mentioned so many people and so many agencies here, as well as we've seen everyone from Las Vegas Metro PD, Nevada State Police, the Honor Guard leading the procession. We've seen agencies coming all the way from Reno, coming from out of state, and we are standing just behind that casket with the United States flag draped over it right now as they are getting it secured to this truck. You just watched all the officers step away. You just watched all the law enforcement step away. They have just filed into their vehicles. So we are keeping on this shot right here to show you the beginning of the procession and this casket here, as we are just going to watch all these vehicles pass behind it. I know you're getting a view from Sky 3 overhead of just how far back officers are lined up right now. I mean, just walking over here alone myself was seeing backed up a quarter mile, and that was at least four, and they were starting a fifth row of law enforcement vehicles set to drive off and head out of this mortuary right now in honor of Trooper Alberto Felix, as we can keep you updated to some of the details as I'm standing off camera right now, so you can keep a live look of this shot right now, and our photographer Marco Tavares keeping zoomed in on this vehicle right now. Trooper Alberto Felix, dead at the age of 54. He joined the Department of Public Safety, as we reported, in January of 2019, serving in the Air Force before his service with Nevada State Police. And so we are watching this procession that's going to start right now. It's going to drive off any minute right now at Palm South Jones Mortuary here at Charleston and Jones. They're going to head north. So that's where our camera's focused on right now, on Jones Boulevard. Procession's going to head north. We're going to keep track of it the entire way as you see them rolling off right now, and I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Evan, if you can, try to estimate how many officers are on hand and how many private citizens are in hand. It's difficult to make out from our vantage point. How many people are there, do you think?
You know what, Dana? Innumerable is the number of officers here right now. As for private citizens, all we have seen on the grounds here at the mortuary is Trooper Felix's family was standing behind as those white doors opened and his casket was brought out. So as far as private citizens or public citizens here at the site here at the mortuary, seeing his family obviously in grief as they were watching his casket being brought out.
And we'll be watching for his family as well. His wife, Len, and their three children, Belle, Mai, and Aries. I'm sure we'll be getting shots of them as the day progresses. But it looks like the procession is just about ready to get underway here, heading north on Jones up to the 95. It'll go from there to Interstate 15, where it will exit Interstate 15 at Sahara and then go over to Las Vegas Boulevard and right down the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, and our Kelly Curran has more on this procession and that route for us. She's above in Sky 3. Kelly, we've sadly done this before. Unfortunately, it's part of our job as well. And it never gets old when you see the amount of officers who show up to pay their respects for their fallen.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's such a moving tribute here. So the motorcycles are already heading out of the mortuary here. They're the ones that lead the way. And then behind them is going to be the casket, the family, and then you're going to see the fire trucks and the ambulances, and then a lot of those police cars, the NHP, Metro, Henderson, North Las Vegas, they're all going to be here. So there is the casket of Trooper Felix right there in that truck, NHP truck. For this one, you can see the gray there, and it is moving northward now on Jones Boulevard. It's heading up toward 95, where it's going to turn south on 95 and then south on to the 15. Then from there, Sahara to Las Vegas Boulevard to 215 to the 95 as they head toward the church. And again, the motorcycles are going to lead the way. Then right behind that, we do have a couple of NHP vehicles. Let me zoom in here a little bit closer and get a good look. The family is usually in this bus right here. And so that's most likely a family. And then we get more cars coming in behind this. And then, like I said, we have Clark County Fire is here. I saw the yellow trucks. Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, the red ones. We have some red ones are North Las Vegas Police as well. And then Henderson was here. And then all of these cars on Oki, these are also going to be a part of the procession. So those will be following up behind as well. So this is going to be a pretty long procession, probably a mile and a half, 2 miles long. We'll be able to get a better look at it once it gets onto the freeway. But again, there is the casket and the motorcycles moving their way northward on Jones now, guys.
And as you mentioned, it really is just a sight to see when you see the amount of officers who show up to pay tribute. And then when you start to see the deference that's happening on the other side of the road, when people start to realize exactly what's passing them on the road, they'll stop out of respect and pay their own tribute to our fallen hero here, Trooper Felix, who died in the line of duty last Thursday, a moment that none of these people will ever forget as they lost one of their own. And our thoughts with his family as they trailed behind him, a moment that I'm sure they perhaps have always feared but hoped would never happen.
Yeah, and his fellow trooper will be put to rest on Monday. And I mean, imagine what this community's gone to over the last week or so with the shooting, the mass shooting at UNLV happening earlier this week as well. So this is a community that's mourning right now. It's a community in grief, and unfortunately, we go through these things all too often here. I mean, right when you started here at the station, you and I were anchoring the coverage of another fallen officer in our community as well, and we had Michael May, who was also with the Nevada Highway Patrol. He passed away last year as he was hit by a driver on Interstate 15 as he was putting down those stop spikes on Interstate 15 near Sahara. In fact, it'll be ironic that they're driving by that exact location where Trooper May lost his life last summer.
And it's one of those things, like I mentioned, that, you know, families, when they have a loved one who dons the badge, they know that there's potential danger there that they face every single time they leave home. And the sad fact is that so many of us you know, often put them in harm's way by being distracted on the road, by simply just, you know, speeding and the like. And that's exactly what happened here. Police are saying that a careless driver, someone who they suspect was drinking and driving, is the one who took this trooper's life. And sadly, according to the CDC, we have, 50 deaths, they say, per year of troopers. Just in the last 10 years, it's about 50 a year. And they say it's up to all of us to do our part to make sure that they stay safe on the job, because a lot of times they have to stop on the road, as they did last Thursday, to check on a motorist who was stranded there. Okay, so we have our Denise Ross. She's in place where this procession will end, and that's at Central Christian Church in the southeastern portion of the Las Vegas Valley in Henderson. Denise, it'll probably take them another 45 minutes or so to wind their way to that location, but set the scene for us right now outside the church.
Yeah, Dana LaToya, this is where the procession will come in on the south side of Central Church. And right over here behind me, I want to step out of the way. You can see the two ladder trucks are already in place, Clark County and City Fire, with the flag draped between them. That is where the procession will come through. You can also see many of the Honor Guard members here already lining up. As you can imagine, hundreds of people are expected, and this church has the capacity to accommodate a very large crowd. As you've been reporting, 54-year-old Trooper Alberto Felix, he joined the department in 2019, and in that time, I am told that he had made DUI prevention his mission. He even assisted with DUI training for other law enforcement. And while he had seniority, I'm told, to get off the graveyard shift, he stayed there, knowing that is where he was needed most. Now, we expect the procession to arrive here by about 10:30, and we will be here all day, certainly covering services for Trooper Felix. For now, reporting live, I'm Denise Ross for News 3. Let's go back to you in the studio.
All right, such an impressive showing already there at the church there in Henderson. And of course, it'll take a while before they make their way there. This is a pretty lengthy procession, as you can see. And again, you see so many people coming to a standstill, and you often see that when you have law enforcement or military members, or even, you know, just for regular folks like us, when people see a funeral procession, they often stop on the road to pay their respects to the folks who they know are grieving right now. And I can only imagine what it must feel like for that family as they see, and they're about to see even more people lining the streets at some point. And when we make our way to the Strip, when he makes his final trip down the Las Vegas Strip, that'll be another moving portion. Well, they'll see tourists alike and other folks, and even the marquees with his picture and his name there. So a lot to take in as we watch this procession that just started a matter of minutes ago. Our Kelly Curran joins us now again from Sky 3. Kelly?
Yeah, we're not entirely sure what just happened here. A group of motorcycles just stopped. Everybody got off and then got back on. It looks like maybe they're just going to leave these ones behind. Maybe one of them broke down, but they're going to go around them The rest of the route is already getting onto 95. So yeah, it looks like maybe one of these motorcycles just broke down. Oh, no, there it goes. All right. So they are crossing over Alta right now. They're working their way up toward the 95 southbound, but it is moving again. Again, we don't know why it stopped there, but they got it moving again. So at least that's the case now. 95 southbound is starting to close. Like I said, they've already got, these are going to be rolling closures that are going to continue throughout the procession. So as soon as they turn onto 15 South, they will open the 95. Let me show you where they've got everybody stopped on the freeway here. There we go. You can see all the vehicles right there that are stuck on the freeway. Now, again, as soon as the procession makes it onto 15, they will let those drivers go again. So it's a rolling closures. So if you do get caught in this, you won't be caught in there very long. And just remember that it's for a very respectful reason. It's a tribute to a fallen officer in our community. And we'll continue to follow this as it works its way toward Henderson. But there they go, getting on the ramp right now to get onto 95 southbound.
It's always an impressive scene, but a somber scene as well. But you can see that his fellow troopers, fellow law enforcement from around the state, even law enforcement from out of state coming to pay their respects. And again, this plays out in communities all over the United States of America. And this morning it's playing out right here in Las Vegas. A very somber but impressive scene as well.
At some point, he will make his way to the Las Vegas Strip, and our Andrew Nomura is at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Andrew, has anyone gathered there to wait for that moment to arrive?
Yeah, absolutely, Latoya. We just spoke to Sandra Patterson, who came out here with her mom. Her mom being 96 years old, braving the cold out here this morning, all to see the celebration of life for Trooper Alberto Felix. She was telling me that what compelled her to come out here was her husband died from suicide not too long ago, so she empathizes with the widowers and the families here, and she says she loves our law enforcement here in the state of Nevada, being from Illinois, and then most recently moved here in 2016 permanently. So she is definitely a Las Vegas now, but we've already started to see a couple people there at the Las Vegas sign kind of gathering there. We've also seen other law enforcement kind of block the parking lot here. I want to actually show you this as well. Down the street here, as you can see, there's just a line of tow trucks with their lights on. Once again, all in the celebration of life for Trooper Felix here. But that's currently what we're seeing right now. We are seeing some of these marquees put up his photo right here. As you can see in the distance, Mandalay Bay has his photo up right now. But yeah, Sandra Patterson and a couple more people just awaiting for his arrival coming down here on the Las Vegas Boulevard. We'll send it back to you.
I'm glad that you mentioned the tow trucks. Thank you so much for that, because tow truck drivers also face some of the same dangers that our troopers do, because they are often parked on the side of the road trying to help a motorist, and they can easily be hit as well, just like our troopers.
We've seen it happen, right? We've seen tow truck drivers hit and killed just trying to do their jobs on the side of the road, just like Trooper Felix was trying to do his job a week ago. He, along with Sergeant Michael Abate, the 11th and 12th deaths in Nevada Highway Patrol history dating back to 1911. And we have the move over law in the state of Nevada, which doesn't always work. But these people who are driving on our freeways and roads are required, if they can safely move over a lane, to give these guys a little bit of room as they do their jobs, not only the NHP troopers and law enforcement, but the tow truck drivers as well. People are required to move over a lane if they can to make sure these people stay safe on our roadways.
Yeah, and it's important because they're not just folks who, are protecting all of us and doing their job to keep our society safe, but they're also just regular everyday people who have folks who love them dearly, like Trooper Felix, who has a family now that is out without a loved one who was central to the family. We're talking about a wife and 3 children now who are in mourning because of what police say was a careless driver in this situation that took his life and Sergeant Michael Abate's life. And I love the fact that they're calling it a celebration of life, because it reminds you that this person lived and should be celebrated. In fact, we've already seen, Dana, so many people who either worked with Trooper Felix or who just knew him as a friend or a neighbor, speaking out in droves, talking about their experiences online, speaking out about how he meant so much to them and the impact that he made not only on them but other people around them.
Apparently he was a fantastic husband, a fantastic father. In reading some of the remembrances that we see online, one of his neighbors here in town was talking about the last time that they saw Trooper Felix. He was out trick-or-treating with his children on Halloween here in the Las Vegas Valley. And I also read a remembrance that was posted by Laura Estrada, who was his neighbor when he was stationed in Italy. And they talked about how he was so nice to their family when they needed it, and how they used to watch his children when he would go on date nights with his wife Len, and how Trooper Felix would watch their children when she wanted to go on a date night with her husband. So he just sounds like he was a terrific family man, and I know he's going to be missed not only by his family, but his fellow troopers and his friends and neighbors here in our community as well.
Yeah, and to speak to the layers that we all carry as individuals, right? We're more than just one thing. Like you mentioned, a husband, a father, served in the military with the Air Force, with a babysitter. But also, I was reading, someone said he taught spin class.
Right.
And apparently it was a challenging class on top of that. And so they were just talking about how he would push people, encourage people to be their absolute best. And so we're talking about a man who had many, many layers, and a lot of folks out there who say that he will be sorely missed. A lot of them pledging, like one of his neighbors, that they will never let people forget his name. Yeah,
and as you can see, they're making their way down US 95 right now, and they'll be headed into the southbound lanes of Interstate 15, where they will exit the freeway at Sahara, and they'll go from there to Las Vegas Boulevard, going right down the Las Vegas Strip. And I'm sure a lot of the tourists, probably most of them, do not know what's going to happen here on the Las Vegas Strip, but once they see this procession and they see that flag draped coffin on the back of that truck there, people will be standing, and we'll even see some with their hands over their hearts. We'll see some saluting as well, and that will happen on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, and that's customary for folks when you see something like this happening, just out of respect, to either take off your hat, even if you're a woman, and to place that right hand over your heart. And no doubt a lot of people will just instinctively do that. We'll also see a number of fire trucks as well that will come out and display the flag. We may possibly even see a flyover at some point. And so there are going to be a lot of things that's out of tradition, out of ritual, to pay respects to folks who have died in the line of duty. And of course, we know that Trooper Felix, his end of watch happened last Thursday on November 30th, and he was just 54 years old and had a lot of life ahead of him.
According to the CDC, we have on average 50 deaths per year on our nation's roadways of law enforcement officers in this country. That's one a week. And we had 2 in our community at the same exact moment, happening just a week ago. But at 50 deaths a year, we're not talking about gunshots or being attacked. We're talking about troopers or other law enforcement by the side of the roads in the United States of America. 1 a week are dying.
Yeah, that is just jaw-dropping when you hear a figure like that, knowing that it's because someone's not paying attention or someone is being careless. And again, that is something that we can all do to improve the safety on our roadways, to make sure that we are aware of our surroundings and that we are looking out for any emergency vehicles that may be parked on the side, which is what exactly happened here last Thursday. These troopers, they saw motorists that appeared to be sleeping on the side of the road there at I-15 and D Street. They pulled over to try to assist that person, and that is when tragedy struck. One of them died there at the scene. The other one later died at the hospital. And I think that's what's so heartbreaking. I mean, it's hard enough when you have one, Dana, but in this situation, we have 2. And so we will sadly be doing this again on Monday, because Sergeant Michael Abate, he will be memorialized then. And so our community will come to a standstill again, as we should, but it just brings together all of us to know that, life is precious, it's fleeting, and we all should do our part to make sure that we're protecting them at all costs.
And for Sergeant Abate, on Monday morning, his procession will begin at 9:30, just like this one did this morning. It'll be from a different mortuary. It'll be from the Palm Mortuary in downtown Las Vegas. So it'll take a slightly different route, but once they get onto the freeway, it'll be similar to what we're seeing here, where they head down Interstate 15 to Sahara and then down the Las Vegas Strip as well. And you were talking about some of the pomp and circumstance that surrounds these funerals for our fallen troopers, and all of this will play out at Central Christian Church down in southeastern Las Vegas. But there'll be a playing of taps, We'll hear bagpipes play as pallbearers remove that casket. The color guard will be there to retire the colors. We will hear the last radio call, as well as they will mention the officer's background. And we will have the honor guard, the color guard, all of that playing out once the casket arrives to Central Christian Church. We're expecting that to happen around 10:30 this morning, and our cameras are in place. We have reporters in place all along the route for you this morning.
And a number of speakers are planned as well. We're still waiting to get a list for you to let you know exactly who will talk and give their eulogy on the behalf of this family and talk about what he meant to them. And we don't know if perhaps even family will speak. We've seen that in the past, but of course, you can imagine this is a very tough, trying time for them. My heart goes out to Lynn Felix, because you can only imagine what she's going through. She has 3 children that she has to console. Meanwhile, she's lost her husband. And so a lot to try to work through. And even beyond today, they have a long road ahead of them. Because a huge part of their life is now missing. Their lives will never be the same because of what happened last Thursday. And, so our hearts go out to them. Our thoughts are with them at this time. And I hope that they don't feel alone. I hope that they know that by seeing just the sheer force of law enforcement following behind them, just how important Trooper Felix was, not only to them, but also to so many people at large in this community.
Procession heading down Interstate 15, and they won't be on the interstate for very long as they get off the freeway there at Sahara and then head east toward Las Vegas Boulevard. But I'm anticipating and looking forward to hearing some of the speakers at his funeral later on this morning, because I want to hear more about this man's life and what he meant to them. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of tears, but we're expecting some laughter as well, as it is a celebration of life, as they remember this family man, this husband, this father of 3. So I'm looking forward to hearing what his neighbors and friends and colleagues have to say about him at that funeral service this morning. They're expected to arrive at the church at 10:30, and the funeral service will begin minutes after that, after we see some of the pomp and circumstance surrounding the casket being removed from that truck and being placed inside Central Christian Church in southeastern Las Vegas.
And of course, when they make their way to the church, you will hear that somber ceremony take place before they ever enter inside the building. And of course, we will give that the deference that it's due and take a moment of silence here and just let you take these scenes in, because it's something that is remarkable to see the deference that is always paid to law enforcement who have especially died in the line of duty. But we have, even more added onto this with the fact that not only did he serve as a trooper, but he was also one who served our country with the United States Air Force. And so there's double layers to this of deference that's being paid. And you're looking at that site from Henderson there, that's outside of Central Church. You can see that they have a flag draped there with the fire trucks on either side and many law enforcement members waiting for this procession to make its way there. And then that's when they will all salute Trooper Felix for the last time outside the church.
And the reason that they use Central Christian Church today, and they'll use it on Monday too for Sergeant Abate, is because it has a big sanctuary. It simply can fill a lot of people. And they knew that we would have troopers and we would have law enforcement from North Las Vegas, Henderson, Metro, even the northern part of our state and other states surrounding Nevada. And because of the sheer volume of people that want to pay their respects, and you can imagine the United States Air Force is going to have a huge presence as well, as he served our country honorably in the United States Air Force as well, that we'll have a lot of people in uniform that want to pay their final respects inside that sanctuary.
And what also will be remarkable as well, because as you mentioned, Dana, a lot of them probably have never met Trooper Felix, but they still want to give him his due. Same with people in our community. This is an open to the public ceremony that will take place, a celebration of life, if you will. So a lot of people who perhaps just live here in Las Vegas, or maybe they were visiting and they've seen some of the coverage and they wanted to pay their respects, they will be there as well. So good point there about the reason why we've seen a lot of these services at this particular church is because it can actually hold the amount of people who want to come and say their final goodbyes.
And I know we have reporters in place and we want to hear from them as well. Kelly Kern is up in Sky 3 as she follows the casket which is loaded onto the back of that truck. Kelly?
Yeah, and they just turned onto eastbound Sahara off of the 15, or off of the ramp there from 95 to 15. They didn't actually have to go on the 15 itself. I gotta say, guys, this procession is incredibly long. We're saying maybe 3 miles, maybe a little bit longer. Just probably 5 minutes ago, we heard they finally cleared the funeral home. So there's still cars on the 95 that are a part of this procession as they're turning on to Sahara right now. And then, of course, next is going to be Las Vegas Boulevard. And that's where it gets really moving, when you see the fountains going off and all the marquees lit up, and usually a lot of people lining the street, especially down by the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, and then in on those pedestrian bridges as well. We usually see people stopping and saluting and paying their respects, and it really is just a beautiful tribute. But yeah, they're getting ready here now to turn onto Las Vegas Boulevard, still going eastbound on Sahara, but like I said, the back of the procession is still on the 95, guys.
Wow, almost 3 miles long. I mean, it's unbelievable, but at the same time, you can also understand, because you know, a lot of them know exactly the dangers that troopers face, because they're facing them as well. And so it's so admirable to see that many of his fellow brothers and sisters have decided to, you know, do what they can to pay tribute and homage to his life.
So we were talking about this. These troopers that died last week here in town were the 11th and 12th to die in the line of duty here for the Nevada Highway Patrol. This goes all the way back to 1911.
Wow.
And the first deputy to lose his life was Edward Hoggle. Get this, February 26, 1911, he was 30 years of age. He was shot and killed as he rode with a posse who were tracking a group of Native Americans suspected of killing 4 ranchers in Washoe County. That's the Reno area.
Wow.
That happened 112 years ago. That was the first in the line of duty death in the Nevada Highway Patrol history, and the 11th and 12th happened here last week.
And 2 of them at the same time, just rocking the law enforcement community, because that is pretty much unheard of. In fact, the last time we saw 2 officers being killed in a single event here in southern Nevada was back in June of 2014, so almost 10 years ago, when Las Vegas police officers Soldo and Beck, they were actually gunned down just while they were eating lunch in the east part of our valley at a pizzeria. And so this is very rare to have 2 people losing their lives, 2 single officers, you know, being killed in a single event here in our area. And so that is why so many hearts are broken. That is why so many people are frankly frustrated and outraged with the situation that continues to happen on our roadways, when we often hear of police saying that no matter who is behind the wheel, it seems that we have an issue on our roadways with not only people getting behind distracted, but also being suspected of being impaired when they're behind the wheel. And this is the fallout of that. This is what happens when you have people who do that, is that we have tragedy like this striking twice in our community in a single day.
So the procession making their way down Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip, and they are only minutes away now from approaching the southern end of the Las Vegas Strip, and that's where we find our Andrew Nomura, who is at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. They will be arriving at your location here momentarily, but set the scene for us now.
Yeah, right now we see some police just standing by, getting ready for that procession to come down here on Las Vegas Boulevard. Down here on the southern end, as you can see in the distance there, tow trucks await the arrival of this procession. Doing some homework just most recently, just how dangerous tow truck drivers' jobs are. They share the same risk as some of our law enforcement officers. According to AAA, tow truck drivers are one of the most dangerous or most deadly jobs. At least 2 are struck and killed every month by folks who don't slow down or move over or follow the move over laws. So it's just showing just a sense and a gratitude, a sign of solidarity with our law enforcement here, these tow truck drivers. So really interesting details. LaToya mentioned that a while ago, and I just had to look it up and see what was going on. And quite in fact, tow truck drivers are one of the most dangerous or most deadliest jobs, and they too are having to assist road workers or motorists along the side of the road, just like our 2 troopers who were killed last Thursday morning. So yeah, it's a sight to see right now, Latoya and Dana.
You had mentioned that there were people who had gathered there at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign specifically to see this play out before their eyes. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we were talking to Sandra Patterson, and she, her and her mom, 96 years old. She's right here across the way here on the other side of the street here, just waiting for the procession to come through. She mentioned that what compelled her to come out here, because she doesn't know Trooper Felix from Adam, right? And I asked her, hey, what makes you come out here? She mentioned that her husband died from suicide years back, so she empathizes with widowers. She empathizes with people who have lost a loved one, and that's the reason why she's out here today. She says that it's just a tragedy because law enforcement put their lives on the line each and every day to protect just our civilians, our everyday average individuals here in Las Vegas, and for them to be taken away like that because someone was careless, someone decided to get or suspected to get behind the wheel after having a few booze or throwing back a couple of booze is just really senseless. And we can see how it has impacted not only the lives of people who may not have even known Trooper Felix, but just our law enforcement all the way around.
Andrew, are you shooting toward the north right now? Because they just passed the Bellagio fountains on Las Vegas Boulevard, and we can see that there are a number of people on the bridges that are over the top of Las Vegas Boulevard. So they're getting very, very close to you. Is that the northbound direction you're shooting at behind you there?
We're shooting on the southbound direction, but if Brad can turn around, we can definitely show you, and we can see a fire truck coming down the street here as they begin to approach down here on the southern end of the Las Vegas Boulevard. But as you can see, I think I can see some of those lights in the distance here as they come down here on Las Vegas Boulevard. But yeah, definitely a shot.
Yeah, you'll be able to see them soon. And I'm sorry, I conflated the two. I saw the pond in front, and I thought it was the pond in front of the Bellagio. It was the pond in front of Treasure Island. And so they're passing the barrage, and they'll be getting to the Bellagio here momentarily. So they're getting closer by the second.
And it's always just one of those things that is awe-inspiring when you see the way our community shows up for these fallen officers. And when they pass through the iconic Las Vegas Strip, an area that no doubt they are very familiar with, and you see all of those marquees like the Mandalay Bay, which is near where we saw Andrew, and so many others with his picture, with his name, and his end of watch. It just shows that we are a community of heart, we are a community that comes together, we are a community that stands up and shows up for our own.
Kelly, I know you can hear us up in Sky 3. Are you seeing people lining the route at all? We don't see a ton of people. I'm sure that most didn't know that this is going to happen, but we do see some people on the bridges that are over the top of Las Vegas Boulevard.
There are some people, yes, on those pedestrian bridges there over the Las Vegas. But here's a look, there's quite a few people here. That's at Flamingo, so they're just crossing Flamingo. They're going by the fountains now. Let's see if they're setting off the fountains. Usually they do. Doesn't look like they have them going off just yet. But yeah, they're coming down Las Vegas Boulevard southbound. The casket itself is going in front of the Bellagio right now. The end of this is probably still on the 15. This is a very, very long procession, but it is nice to see that even some of our tourists have just stopped what they were doing and just stood by the roadside and watched as they went by, and it's a nice tribute to see. And then yes, the pedestrian bridges, we are seeing quite a few people. Look, there's quite a few people here too, just stopped and watching them go by. And the Harmon Bridge too, we're seeing quite a few people here. So yes, there are people lining the streets. That's what we like to see. And then of course on the 215 we usually see that as well. Look at this.
Wow.
That's quite the crowd.
Amazing. And like you said, Kelly, it really is the least that we can do. I mean, these men and women who put on this uniform, they put their lives on the line every single day to keep our roadways safe and in turn keep us safe. And so the least we can do is stop for a second and just pay tribute to them for their sacrifice. And wow, a lot of people there on that pedestrian bridge.
It's amazing. what this community is going through right now with these two troopers who were killed in the line of duty. You have the mass shooting at UNLV, and oh yeah, we have the President of the United States coming to Las Vegas today too.
Yeah, it's a busy Friday, but we know that we're resilient. We keep saying it, Vegas strong. Unfortunately, we have to get stronger and stronger because we've had so many tragedies hit us here recently, and we're all leaning on each other. And it's a great reminder that if you're one of those folks out there struggling right now, trying to make sense of really what is senseless that's happened in just the last week and so here in our community, there's always help available. That number to call always, the hotline is 988. Don't be afraid to reach out. We also have the Vegas Resiliency Center, which, Dana, as you know, was born out of another tragedy here in our community from 2017, when unfortunately 60 souls lost their lives due to a gunman that rained terror on people who were just trying to enjoy a concert.
Right, and as you bring that up, they're getting very close. As you see, they're getting close to crossing Tropicana and getting very close to the Route 91 Harvest Festival site where that mass shooting took place. I mean, they're just a moment away from passing that exact site that you were talking about. So on the right, you're looking at Sky 3, people on the pedestrian overpasses paying their respects. And on the left side, you see our Andrew Nomura is in place on the south end of the Las Vegas Boulevard, very close to the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, as the procession now is just seconds away from approaching his location as well.
In fact, I can make out just the lights flickering a little bit, so they are getting closer and closer. I do want to read some of the condolences that people have put online because, again, it highlights his humanity, Trooper Felix. One of his colleagues says, "I will miss you dearly. Your guidance, caring heart, and level head helped so many people more than you realize. Please know that." And for the Felix family, my heart hurts for you. I am sending so many hugs and love during this tough time and beyond. And that is DT, who says he or she is a colleague of Trooper Felix.
And we've been reading a lot of those remembrances online, and you can tell just by what people are writing that this man had an impact in these people's lives, and they call him a great family man, a great husband, a great father to 3 children. And his family, we can't even imagine what they're going through today as they are now trailing the casket of their loved one as they get very close to Andrew Nomura's location. And Andrew, tell us what you can see from your vantage point as they get very, very close to you right now.
Well, I can see a lot of lights coming down Las Vegas Boulevard right now. I'm kind of further away simply because I had to get a shot of those tow trucks that are behind us and how they just are standing in solidarity with our law enforcement officers. But going back to where we're at right now, I can see they're probably right there. They're about to approach, it looks like they're about to approach Russell any moment now. Russell is just probably, I would say, just yards away from the Las Vegas sign. So they're probably right there at Tropicana, getting past the Luxor, approaching Mandalay Bay, hitting Russell. But we can see a slow moving vehicle right now coming down the Las Vegas Boulevard. But yeah, this is what's happening currently as what we're seeing. We've seen a couple of people, as you can see on the Las Vegas sign, they're stopping. They're coming up closer to the street here, trying to get a better look at what's happening, because some people just don't know what's happening. In fact, and it's quite a sight to see as people stop what they're doing, taking it all in right now. As you can see, officers coming down here, just passing us right now, and then here comes the procession with all of its lights at the moment.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and just take in this awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping moment that's playing out in real time right here in Las Vegas. So you're seeing this very long procession, miles long procession,
Yes.
still making its way down Las Vegas Boulevard. But the first part of it is now making its way to the 215. Let's go ahead and check in with our traffic authority once again, Kelly Curran.
Yes, they're making their way on to the 215 eastbound here at Las Vegas Boulevard. Traffic is stopped again. Just be patient. You know that this is a moving tribute and very important for our city here. So that will release those cars as soon as they get them back onto the 95 once the tail end of this goes through. Now, we do think that this procession is about 3 miles long. We're going to be able to get a good look at this once everybody is onto the 215, but my guess is a lot of people are still just turning their way onto Las Vegas Boulevard. That's how long this is. So, of course, an incredible tribute. You have the motorcycles leading the way, both NHP and Metro here. And also, one of the things I want to point out, this on the overpasses here on the 215, this is when we usually see a lot of the fire trucks, especially Henderson and Clark County, where they're actually standing, look at this, on the roof of the fire truck saluting as they drive by. And we see this on each and every single one of these overpasses here along the 215. It is really, I think, one of the most moving parts of the entire procession. I mean, obviously the strip part is beautiful itself, but to see them standing on the roofs of their EMS vehicles and fire trucks and saluting as they go by really is incredibly beautiful. But yes, the cars now on their way 215 eastbound. They're going to take a turn onto 95 north, then up to Russell, where they will get to the church. But they've still got quite a ways to get there, guys.
And are we still seeing cars filing by at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign? I know that Andrew Nomura was in place there. I just kind of trying to get an idea. Look at this.
Wow.
So you see where the beginning of the procession is with those motorcycles, and we still haven't seen the end of the procession. So the beginning of it is heading east on 215 right now, headed toward Green Valley Ranch, and we still haven't seen the end of it on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Wow, and what a sight to see. And as we know, we are a tourist area as well, so a lot of people probably have no idea why this is taking place, but yet they still decided to stop on the side of the road there on Las Vegas Boulevard to kind of just take it all in. And Andrew Nomura actually spoke to a woman who says that her mother, who's in her 90s, wanted to come out specifically to show her solidarity and unity with what law enforcement community is going through right now. In fact, he was able to talk to her earlier. If we can, let's go ahead and listen in to why she said it was important for this 90-something-year-old woman to come out this morning and pay her respects.
Oh, I'm excited to see the people to come out and to support the police officers and everyone involved. It's a shame this had to happen. I feel sorry for the widows, and it's just a sad situation. So I'm here to support them any way I can.
All right, so that was the woman's daughter, I believe. Her mother was sitting, who's in her 90s, was sitting not too far away from there. But again, that's the sentiment from a lot of people. You know, I have to do whatever I can, whatever that is.
Yeah, and we see this play out at these funerals for law enforcement officers in our community time and time again. And we know that these are people that are putting their lives on the line, quite literally, to protect all of us and try to keep us safe. And I think that's why it's so important for people in our community to get out there and pay their respects for these brave men and women that serve us on a daily basis here in Southern Nevada. And it's not just here, it's all across our state and all across our country as well.
That's right, and they're doing this all at a time when we're also seeing tragedy strike our beloved UNLV campus. You know, there's a big investigation that is going on right now to try to bring justice in that situation and find out everything that exactly happened, and hopefully to try to prevent another mass shooting like that again. And yet here they are taking the time that they need to grieve. In fact, we heard from Sheriff Kevin McMahill earlier this week when he was talking to reporters, briefing us on the mass shooting. He said, please keep in mind that as we do this investigation, as we try to give you all the information that you in fact deserve to know, because the public has a right to know what is happening, especially since it's happened on an urban campus, that they are taking the time that they need to grieve. They are going to take the time that they need to attend this funeral, to give Trooper Felix the respect that he has deserved, to say their final goodbyes.
And they will be arriving here at Central Christian Church here probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. This is in southeastern Las Vegas, not far from Russell in US 95. And when they get there, these funerals always take a different shape depending on who they're laying to rest, but we're expecting the honor guard to be there, the color guard as well, and we're expecting to hear the last radio call talking about the officer's background. Again, what form this will take, we don't know, but our cameras are there and they are in place, and so we'll all get to witness this at the same time live right here on the CW, and then we'll be changing over and simulcasting our coverage starting at noon on Channel 3, and we expect the ceremony to be underway by then, and we'll also be hearing from the speakers, the people that knew him best, and they'll be talking about his life and what this man was like when he wasn't working for all of us here in Southern Nevada.
Right. So this ceremony is supposed to begin here in 6 minutes. Obviously, that's not going to happen because they're still trying to make their way to Henderson. Let's go ahead and check in now with our Denise Ross. She is there at the church. We can see the huge crowd of folks, many of them law enforcement in uniform behind you, Denise.
Yeah, and mourners have really been gathering here for more than an hour. The honor guard has been in place. They're just adding to where the procession will be coming down this stretch right here. But I have to tell you, I was also struck by such a sad contrast out here today in the parking lot of Central Church. They're setting up for Christmas. There's decorations going up for a very joyful season. While right here, there is sorrow. And I can also tell you that there are officers here from so many other departments. Sheriff Kevin McMahill from Metro just walked in a bit ago. So this isn't just one department feeling this loss. It is all of them. And right now, some of the officers coming to attention. Again, though, we will be here all day letting you know what is going on. Reporting live from Central Church, Denise Ross, News 3.
All right, thank you so much, Denise. And as we mentioned, they have a number of rituals and traditions that they deploy to make sure that they're giving every officer who dies in the line of duty their due. We don't really know exactly how many of these rituals they will do because it really is ultimately up to the family. But some of the things we could expect to see as they reflect their honor and their respect for the service and dedication of Trooper Felix. Not only this lengthy processional that you're looking at right there, but also as we've seen the city coming to a standstill, as well as a possible flyover. We may even hear taps playing, those bagpipes, and acting as the pallbearers as well, removing the casket, and of course the color guard already there in place to retire the colors. Eventually, they will wrap up that flag that is draped over that casket. They will fold it up in a different ceremony and then hand it to the family. And we usually are able to see that somber, sobering moment when they are handed that drape, knowing that this is the final farewell for Trooper Felix. And as someone who has lost a number of family members and has been in that family car, I can only just give them my deepest condolences, because that is a horrible place to be. We know that at one point we're all going to be in that family car when we lose a loved one. But there's a lot of emotions going on right now. They often feel like, okay, lost and perhaps alone. But when you lose someone that has served either our military or in our law enforcement, you always know that you won't be alone. In fact, we've heard and shared stories of how law enforcement, they stay with the family to the very end. They go and check on the kids. They go to, if they have any sporting events. I mean, they make sure that this family knows that they will never be alone, that their loved one's sacrifice will never be forgotten. And so that's one of the beauties of being a part of this community. They are family. They serve together and they support each other no matter what, and no doubt they're going to be standing with the Felix family.
Well, look at this impressive show of force today. On the right-hand side, you're seeing the pictures from Sky 3, and that's the casket carrying the body of Alberto Felix. That's at the head of the procession as this thing heads toward the east and US 95. It's on 215 eastbound right now. And on the left side, we still haven't seen the end of the procession yet. This is at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, and these are miles apart, the casket from the end of the procession. And I think Kelly was estimating it was at least 3 miles long, and we still haven't seen the end of the procession on Las Vegas Boulevard. So that's what's happening on the left side, and we'll continue to monitor those pictures as well just to see how long this thing goes.
Yeah, more family and friends speaking out online. In fact, one of them is Bonnie Trick. She says that Trooper Felix often talked about his love for his job, his love for family, that he loved them both very, very much, and that he was a kind-hearted man. And that's what we've been hearing time and time again. Even when we talked to one of his neighbors just a few days ago, Robert Badcock, he says that he doesn't want anyone to ever forget Trooper Felix because he was that great of a person, and he was one who always put his family first. In fact, he says that he made quite the impression on his daughter, who happens to be in the 6th grade, and she plans to run 2 miles in honor of Trooper Alberto Felix and also Sergeant Michael Abate.
I'm so glad that we have Sky 3 up today because you just saw that impressive sight again, and Kelly was talking about it each time they approach one of these overpasses. In this case, it was Henderson Fire, and you saw some of the firefighters standing on top of their fire truck, and they were standing at attention and saluting the casket to honor Alberto Felix as he drove by on the 215 as they get very close to the 95. I think Kelly hopefully can hear us. And are they on the 95 yet? I know they're close.
No, they actually just passed Green Valley Parkway. We're approaching Stephanie and Gibson here coming up next, and before they get to the 95. But as you said, the end of this hasn't even passed the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. So this is a very, very long procession. Now there are some big gaps in it where I think they're kind of speeding up a little bit, trying to get there a little bit faster because the idea was for the funeral to start at 10:30, and it's 10:30 and they're still on the road. So I think they're speeding up a little bit here. We're going about 55 miles an hour. Now we're also, here we go, another bridge is coming up here. This is, I find, to be one of the most touching parts of the funeral procession here, as you see these firefighters standing on the roof of their truck and then saluting as everyone goes underneath them. You'll see the motorcycles coming through here first, and then the casket, and then behind that, the family. They're going to be in that gray bus there. So there you see this trooper, or the firefighter, saluting as the motorcycles pass underneath and the procession passes underneath. Again, this is, I think this one is Stephanie, right, Patrick? Yeah, this is Stephanie.
If you
215
can,
eastbound, it's Stephanie.
yeah, Kelly, try to estimate when you think they'll arrive at the church. We're guessing they'll be on the 215 here for another few minutes, and then they'll get on the 95. They won't be on the 95 very long before they exit at Russell, and then I don't think that the church is all that far from Russell at 95, right?
Yeah, it's really not all that far. Maybe another 15, 20 minutes before they get there, because the problem is they have to wait for everybody to get there, and they're all going to be going underneath that the flag that's draped by the 2 fire trucks, which is absolutely beautiful. But it goes really slow once they get off of the 95 and onto the side streets. Wow, look at this, guys. You were wondering where the people were that showed up. Look at all the flags. Oh, isn't this so beautiful?
Yeah, thank you so much for providing these images from Sky 3. It's very impressive but somber at the same time, and I think that people are getting a sense of it right now, and I'm glad that people are showing out and showing up to pay their respects to Trooper Felix this morning.
Yeah, it's what he deserves, and I'm in complete agreement, as I know you are, Dana, that is one of the most sobering sights to behold there when you see others at those bridges, especially those firefighters, standing on top of their units, their engines, and saluting Trooper Felix, which is what he deserves. I mean, it really is just a moment just to take in and see the respect and the level of love and solidarity that all of our men and women in uniform are showing at a time like this.
Oh, we've done this before, all too often, unfortunately, but I don't know that I've seen a procession quite this long, right?
I was trying to compare it to the last one that we had, which unfortunately was Officer Trung Tai, excuse me, and that one was pretty long too. I want to say that one was at least probably 2 miles. Kelly's estimating that this one is perhaps twice as long, maybe. Our producer was saying that they timed this procession. They say that it's about 15 minutes long. When you see one, the beginning of it with those 2 people, the 2 officers on the motorcycle, all the way to the very end, that last car, they say they timed it, and it takes about 15 minutes from the back of the procession to make it to where the front of the procession was. And so definitely very long, perhaps the longest one yet. But I think as these tragedies go on and on, so many more people are touched by them. And this particular week, we're facing even more tragedy because of what happened at UNLV. And so last year, when we had the Metro officer killed in the line of duty, we weren't dealing with multiple tragedies at the same time and a huge investigation. And so I believe that it's probably safe to say that a lot of people, hearts are going out to law enforcement right now because they also know what they're up against at this particular time, trying to investigate the mass shooting that took place just a matter of days ago at UNLV.
Yeah, it's amazing how much tragedy this community's been through this week for sure. And you just saw some of the troopers and some of the law enforcement officers that are awaiting the casket at Central Christian Church. And so if it is indeed 15 minutes on this procession, once the casket arrives on scene at the church, they're going to wait for everybody to get there.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
Right? It's going to be another 15 to 20 minutes before they start anything on the outside of the church, and there will be a lot of pomp and circumstance surrounding that, and then eventually the casket will be led inside, and that's when the services will start. So we're probably at least another half an hour away from the services beginning here on the CW, and once we get to the noon hour, we'll simulcast everything over on Channel 3 as well. But this same scene is going to play out, unfortunately, on Monday as well, when they laid arrest Sergeant Michael Abate, who was killed on the same day as Trooper Felix, which was last week. And then it won't be a similar situation, but they have 3 people to lay to rest too who were killed at UNLV this week. 3 people have been killed there, another person's in critical condition. So a number of funerals going on in our community over the next week.
Yeah, so lots happening to this community. We know that we're Vegas strong, but you know, if you're watching right now and you're visiting, this is just a sign of who we are. I know a lot of people think it's all glitz and glamour and that we are all about, you know, having a good time. And we are the entertainment capital of the world, but we are also filled with so many people who are just regular, everyday, good folks, people who work hard, people who care about their community. And this is proof of that. You can see it on display right there before your eyes. I want to mention the folks who have perhaps not standing there, but who have gone to social media and online to pay their respects. And I was touched by what Sean W. wrote. He says, "May you never be forgotten, and the community mourns the loss of your service. We forever remember your service to the community. We have the line from here."
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear the speakers too, right? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to find out more about this man who gave his life for our community, and his friends and family members and fellow troopers, law enforcement officers, will be speaking at that too. So Kelly, give us an idea of what we're looking at here. Wow, this is an impressive sight as well.
Yeah, we believe these are Henderson police that are lining US 95 northbound, where they've just gotten on and saluting as the procession goes by. We've seen fire trucks here on the overpasses, even on 95, saluting as the procession goes by. I just a little while ago zoomed in to see if I could see the end of it over by Eastern and 215, and I couldn't. This is a very, very long procession. I would say the last one was about 3 miles long. This one is about the same, maybe a little bit longer. It's hard to tell because some of these are spaced out pretty far, but you see some of the fire trucks and ambulances that are a part of this and them saluting as they go by. They are almost to Russell, not quite. Let me see if I can get the front of this again. They just crossed over the top of Warm Springs, our pilot says. And yeah, it's a very, very long procession. This is the van that the family is riding in, behind the truck that is carrying Trooper Felix, and that is up here a little bit further. But yeah, they're approaching Russell pretty soon here. There's the front. You see those motorcycles followed by the truck that is carrying the casket. And they're getting closer to Russell. They're going to get off at Russell, and then they have to kind of turn around a little bit to go back to the church where they'll have everything ready. We believe there will also be a flyover of Metro's helicopters. Yes, there are. Pilot says yes. They are waiting over on the football field. They're waiting to take off, and then they will do their flyover right before they enter into the church, guys.
Yeah, the flyover makes sense, right? Because we know that Trooper Felix was also a member of the United States Air Force.
Right.
And a lot of times when they do these flyovers, they'll do it in a missing man formation where one slot is left open in honor of the fallen officer and the fallen airman serving our country, not only here in the United States, but overseas as well. We understand that he spent some time in Italy when he was in the Air Force. And and people are talking about his time of service there and the fact that they were neighbors to Trooper Felix and his wife Len, and how they used to watch each other's kids so they could do date nights together. It just gives you an idea of what type of husband and father this trooper was.
Yeah, and apparently he was a fitness pro too,
Right.
because one person said he taught their spin class and that he really pushed people to be their absolute best. You were mentioning the flyover and what we can expect there. We also, I think we should mention the last radio call. We've mentioned it before, but it's one of the things that's most touching to me, because it really is that last radio call. It usually ends with gone but not forgotten. And you can just see the respect that's paid inside the church once that takes place, and really the finality of it, because that is the last call. I mean, his end of watch was last Thursday, but they're going to do that ceremony. They usually do that at the very end. Of course, we're also seeing a riderless horse there as well. That's another tribute to a fallen officer that we always see when we have these somber moments as well.
So Kelly, give us an idea of what we're looking at here. Are you close to, is that close to the church there?
Yeah, we're actually hovering right over the church right now. This is the riderless horse that is typically a part of the ceremony. We'll zoom out here a little bit. We have a lot of people waiting for them to get here, people with flags. It looks like maybe a lot of these are the community that came out. Nice to see here. And you can see them holding their flags as well. And then we have the two fire trucks that have the very large American flag. That is blowing in the wind right now. They are, let's see, getting off right now, actually. Started the front, I should say, the front of the procession is getting off the 90.
All right, having a little glitch there with Sky 3. Thank you so much for that, Kelly. Let's go ahead and check in with our Kristen Drummond. She is near the church as well, and she's been talking to folks who've been gathering there. Kristen?
Well, Dana and LaToya, folks have been coming out here for the last 2 hours to come and pay their respects. I was able to speak with an officer with the Henderson Police Department. I also briefly spoke with a few people who are from Nellis Air Force Base, because as we know, Trooper Felix was part of the Air Force, all saying they did not know him personally, but they just wanted to be here to show their respects. And as you mentioned, yes, I am in front of the church where you can see the large American flag is waving as we wait for the procession to come in. Right now, we are seeing them get off on Russell Road, then they will turn around and come down this road to enter. And just up ahead, right now we're turning the camera where you can possibly see on the freeway, the procession is getting off on Russell right there, and then they'll have to come around and come through to Central Church. And over here at Central Church, you can see that the community has gathered. There are students from the nearby Slam Academy, that is a charter school which is right next to Central Church. There are also some people from the community who are waving their flags, the Nevada flag. Some telling me they just wanted to be here to show their support, show that they appreciate everything that Trooper Felix has done for our community. And we're actually going to turn our camera back now, because you will see the procession coming down the road. And this is a very long procession, as we've been seeing from Kelly's viewpoint, but this is the start of it, and they're about to turn into the church, where they will be greeted by a number of law enforcement as well, including the community. Now, as I've mentioned, I have spoken with quite a few people from the community. I was also able to speak with the president of the College of Southern Nevada. He was talking with me today about Trooper Felix's commitment to this community and just being a part of the College of Southern Nevada's academic facility. He actually taught a class there, and he said that this has been such a terrible, terrible tragedy, not only for our community, but also for CSN. And here they are turning in now. There goes the procession, the motorbikes, followed by the other vehicles. And as we've seen, there have been a number of signs out here from the students at Slam Academy saying thank you for your service, waving their flags as well, also saying thank you, rest in peace, Trooper Felix, as well as Sergeant Abate. There's the casket as it just went by as well, with the American flag draped over it.
Kristen, thank you so much for giving us this vantage point. Let's go ahead and listen in, Kristen.
vehicles in this procession, and they have to have a place for them to be able to park, and that's another reason that they use this church, is because they have a lot of places to put these vehicles.
Yeah, and our Denise Roche is there on the ground, and she just told us that there is complete silence, which speaks to the respect that everyone is paying right now and the gravity of the situation as they see the casket making its way there to the church there, and the many, many, many law enforcement vehicles that are filing behind it. Of course, we know the family among those in that procession, his wife Lynn and his 3 children. Trooper Felix, well loved, just 54 years old. He'd only been with the Nevada State Police for 4 years, his end of watch last Thursday, and today is a chance to remember him for all that he did on the job and also off of the job. And we've been learning that he was quite the guy. Not only was he a trooper, but at one point he served in the military with the Air Force. And so undoubtedly we will hear a lot about that. He also spent some time in Italy. Perhaps we'll hear some funny stories from that as well. And the fact that he was a spin instructor, according to one of the folks who left their tribute online to him as well. So this is a chance for us to not only learn about the man who served, but also about the man who was a father, who was a husband, a friend, a neighbor, a son, and even had a goddaughter here in our community. And so he had many, many layers to him as we look at this procession, this miles-long procession, and that riderless horse there, which is a part of the pomp and circumstance that all law enforcement officers are due when they lose their lives in the line of duty, trying to protect and serve all of us.
Kelly Kern's up in Sky 3. So Kelly, it looks very orderly, very well organized. So give us an idea of exactly what you're seeing beneath you, and then if you can, I don't know if there's any way to figure out how far the vehicles go back in this procession. I don't know if you can even see the end of the line yet.
Well, one thing I do want to point out that my pilot and I noticed that we thought were pretty cool is they actually had some antique police cars here. Look how old those things are. They're pretty impressive to see. But yeah, very orderly. Everybody's lining those cars up. Hopefully they can all fit in here because this is a really long procession. Patrick, can you see, are they still over on the 95? It's still coming on the 95. All right, so let's, yep, there they are. Let's see. Okay, so there's a line of, this is, I think, your regular vehicles. So I think they're almost done here with the end of the procession, but they still have to get off the 95 at Russell, then they turn around and go down that little street there that leads over to the church. So you can see there's a shot right there of the cars still on the 95, and then they're going around and going underneath the flag there at the church. So yes, a very long procession. They still all have to park. Now once they all get parked, that's when we're going to get everybody lined up here behind the casket. The casket is sitting right here. You do have some officers standing there behind it. They're waiting. The family will get behind this as well. Then once everybody is lined up and the horse, then they will start marching down here. And you see all of these troopers, officers, I'm assuming maybe even some members of the military, since he is an Air Force veteran, that are here lining this corridor. Then they'll be walking down there. The casket, the family will be walking. They'll have bagpipes and drums. And then you see, look at all the people here standing outside waiting as well. It really is beautiful and incredible turnout to pay their respects to Trooper Felix.
Yeah, and the last time we did this, Kelly, that was when a Metro officer lost his life in the line of duty last year, Officer Trung Tai. And we saw much of the same that we're seeing right here. And unfortunately, this scene is going to play out again come Monday when we pay our final respects to Sergeant Michael Abate, who lost his life with Trooper Felix as they both were trying to respond to a motorist last Thursday, and a suspected drunk driver hit and killed them both. You know, we haven't lost a trooper since 2021 when Micah May lost his life as he was trying to pursue a suspect. And so thankfully this doesn't play out all too often, but it happens still too much because one is too many. Data, you were saying this was the 11th and 12th deaths that we've seen with our troopers and law enforcement here. And what's so sad about that is that you rarely see two at a time, an event where you lose two of them at the same time. This is one of those rare, unfortunate events where not only have we lost one, but we've lost two in the same event.
Never happened before with the Nevada Highway Patrol. Yeah, it never happened in the same day that we lost two in the line of duty. It's 12 now, going back to 1911. But you brought it up earlier, too, when we lost two Metro officers who were just having lunch at Cece's Pizza on the east side of the Las Vegas Valley. Igor Soldo and Alan Beck were simply having lunch at a pizza place when they were ambushed by a couple of far right-wing nut jobs, to be honest, who ended up losing their lives just hours later. But you can see everybody is still continuing to file into Central Christian Church. And I know Kristen Drummond is also staged just outside on the ground, not far from that American flag that you see, that very large American flag. And I don't know if Kristen can hear us, but I was wondering if she could give us some observations from her vantage point.
Yes, Dana, I can hear you. And from our observation, you can continue to see the procession coming down, New Beginnings, turning into the church. And the cars that we have been noticing coming in, we saw a state trooper from Texas. Kelly had mentioned those vintage highway patrol cars from California. I saw a vintage car that said Pasadena Police Department on it. And we know, as unfortunate these events are, it will bring the law enforcement community together from all over. We also saw it appeared to be the sheriff's office from Reno. There seemed to be, it looked like there was a car from there as well. So it's not only our Valley law enforcement who are here, but it's across the state, as well as it appears other states in our country as well. But yes, the procession is continuing as the law enforcement vehicles go into the parking lot, finding a space. And as you mentioned, Dana, it is because of how large this church is, the number of spaces it allows for so many of these vehicles to be able to find a car or a spot. Here's another car coming in. It says Veterans Affairs, so just all over. There's another car. It just says police on it. I am unable to read the badge. Not sure where that vehicle may be from as well. But again, license plate does say Nevada though. But again, we are just seeing so many different law enforcement entities coming in. U.S. Park Ranger as well. And along the freeway, as we were watching the procession come down, we also noticed some of the tow trucks. And I know Steve did a story earlier this week about how those with the tow truck community are also impacted by this, because so many times they are also called out to assist law enforcement when they have to tow vehicles, or even just assisting drivers on the side of the roadway. So they certainly understand the dangers that come with being outside of their cars as well. But yes, the procession is continuing. It appears that we are coming towards the end of it, but again, it is still a very long line of vehicles coming down New Beginnings. Here's Nevada DOT now turning in as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I was able to speak with a number of people in the community, some who did not want to speak with us on camera. That included a few people who came here from Nellis Air Force Base because they wanted to pay their respects. They did not know Trooper Felix personally, but because he is part of the Air Force family, they felt it was important for them to show up and be here. And I also was able to speak with one of Trooper Felix's neighbors. She's an 11-year-old girl. You may remember her. Her name is Teresa. She actually does a mile run anytime we do have a fallen member of our law enforcement community. She ran a mile for Officer Trong Tai when he died in the line of duty last year. And I'm told that she is planning to also run a mile for Trooper Felix as well as Sergeant Abate. The details on that have not been planned out yet, but that is something she is planning to do here soon. North Las Vegas Police just turning in, Sandy Police turning into the church, license plate Utah. So again, just law enforcement community coming out from all over to pay their respects at this time. And just up the road as well, now we're starting to see some of the tow trucks coming down. U.S. Customs and Border Protection turning in right now. So everyone has told me when in the law enforcement community, when one of them is hurt, or dies, they all hurt. They all feel this. I was able to speak with an officer with the Henderson Police Department. He said he couldn't speak with me on camera because this was just too emotional. And he says that this is happening too much, losing officers in the line of duty, and it's very emotional for so many at this point in time. Dana and Latoya.
Yeah, that's certainly understandable, Kristen. Thank you so much for just detailing the show of force that we see here. We see so many people from all over, and it seems as far away as Texas. So thank you for letting us know about that, because it's just remarkable to see all the people who came out from everywhere. And she mentioned that child who likes to run. We mentioned her a little bit earlier, too. We actually talked to her father recently, Robert Babcock. They are neighbors of the Felix family, and yes, she plans to run 2 miles in honor of Trooper Alberto Felix and also Sergeant Michael Abate, and hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you once that comes, because that's something that she likes to do every time we lose someone, is to pay tribute in that way.
And how interesting too, right? Because she came to our attention, Teresa Ann Babcock is her name. She came to our attention 7 years ago. It was 2016 when she set up a lemonade stand to help raise money for officers that were killed in Louisiana. And now 7 years later, her neighbor has lost his life, and she has been running those miles to honor the fallen in our community. And because we have 2 now, it's going to be 2 miles for her. And yeah, she deserves the coverage as we honor and respect these people that put their lives on the line for us.
And doesn't that just speak to what we were saying earlier about the heart that this community has? I mean, she is one of those shining bright stars in this community who sees something and does something to try to show solidarity and just support for the fallen and support for their families. And unfortunately, this time it hit really close to home with being one of her neighbors, Trooper Alberto Felix. And so hats off to her and her family, and to her parents for raising such a wonderful child who has it in her heart at such a young age to do something so big.
So Kelly, it looks like that's the end of the procession. Do I have that right?
Yeah, this is the end of the procession here, so we're almost there. Maybe 50 or 60 more cars left to go. There's still a lot here, and they're not going to start until everybody passes underneath those flags and parks. So it's still got a few more minutes before we get things going. But yeah, most of the cars here are already parked. You can see, look at the line, just still trying to get underneath these flags here. And then the parking lot is filling up pretty quickly too. There are still a few other parking lots that they can put cars into when, if this one starts to fill up a little bit too much, but I think we should be able to get them all in here. This is the van here again with the family. It looks like the family is starting to get out. They're getting ready for this. The horse is ready there as well. Now the family will follow behind the casket as they march down this corridor that is lined by troopers and officers, possibly even some members of our military here, and then they'll make their way inside the church, guys.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. And it's just heartbreaking to see as they start to file behind the casket, which is going to set off a number of rituals that will take place before they enter the church building. We mentioned Teresa Ann Babcock, that child who runs miles for officers who are fallen, and now one of her own neighbors is among them, Trooper Alberto Felix, who we're remembering today. Let's go ahead and listen in. She talked to our Kristen Drummond. Here's what she told Kristen.
He was a nice family guy. The first day we got there, he was teaching his daughter how to ride a bike the first time we met him. So he was a nice guy. I've heard many stories because I've been taking care of the police officers that have been taking care of the family. So I've been going down there and talking with them, and they have said that both the troopers are nice guys, but Trooper Felix means a lot to me because that has passed away in the line of duty.
What an amazing, composed young lady here in our community.
And how sad that she's known 2 officers now personally who have passed away in the line of duty, who've been killed in the line of duty. It's
Yeah.
it's unfortunate for a child to have to go through that, but it is also very encouraging to see our next generation have such a huge heart and to do something that's so selfless to honor them. So we thank her for all that she's doing to make sure that they have the proper tributes that they need.
12 years old now, and
Wow.
that's good parenting right there, talking about the importance and the respect that our local law enforcement deserve, and she continues to pay that respect forward. And I imagine that she's going to be doing that for the rest of her life, right? She started when she was 5 years old, paying her respects, and you can see how many people are on site at Central Christian Church in the southeastern section of our valley near Russell and 95 that are there to pay their respects for this fallen trooper Alberto Felix. And the end of the procession is getting close to that parking lot as we speak, passing underneath that giant American flag. The family out of the van, they're very close to the casket of their husband and their father and their son, and that will be a very solemn but impressive ritual that will take place in front of all of our eyes as they follow behind the casket as they go down that narrow roadway leading to Central Christian Church. We're expecting that to happen in the next few minutes here.
Yeah, and a man of many layers. Of course, he was one who served in the military with the Air Force at 54 years old. He had been with the Nevada State Police now for 4 years, but he was also, as you mentioned, Dana, a husband, a father, a son, a friend, a colleague, a neighbor. All of those different things made up who he was, and we're going to hear from folks who knew him personally, and you can only imagine what they're going through right now if so many strangers have gathered and come to pay their respects and have been moved to do so, never knowing him. I'm sure for those who knew and loved him well, this is a very tough time right now, but they're calling this a celebration of life because they also want us to celebrate the life that he led, and hopefully that other people will follow in his footsteps and do good for others, and have so many other people when that time comes say job well done and say so many nice things about you and have an impact on their hearts and minds just as he did.
So the funeral is today, and we're expecting the ceremony to get underway shortly, and then the burial will be tomorrow. That's not open to the public from what I've been led to believe, but this is open to the public, and you can see that they have showed up. I mean, this is hundreds upon hundreds of people. You're seeing them on the left there. We have a couple of cameras positioned outside of the church. Our reporter Denise Roche also on site saying that you can hear a pin drop. It is just silence outside of the church out of respect for this fallen trooper. And Kelly, is that the final car that we're looking at? Is that that white car, the end of the procession?
Yep, that white one's the last one that should be going through. I don't know if this Jeep is going to follow him through, but the white one, it was the last. The tow truck was kind of really helping out as they were letting cars back onto the freeway. He was serpentining to kind of keep the cars from passing the procession. So he was actually very helpful in this procession. So those are the last cars. We're going to get those ones parked, and then everyone is going to start lining up behind the casket. We'll start getting the band playing. The horse will be ready. It looks like family is already here. You can see them standing there as well. And then we see some group hugs there too. Very, very touching moment here as they get ready to walk down that corridor in front of all of those officers. And there's the bagpipers. They're ready to go as well in their kilts. We've got the flags as well, the state flag, the American flag. So yeah, they're getting ready to go. Oh, casket's moving. Here we go.
Ready, step. Ready, step. Ready, step. Ready, step. Center, peace. Ready, step. Ready, step. Ready, step. Forward, march.
All right, so we're watching as the procession made its way into the church, and now Trooper Felix's body is there as well with his flag-draped coffin. His family has made their way. Others who are close to them filing closely behind. Dana, just a chilling sight. I mean, I was literally getting chills as I saw the respect and the ceremony that was taking place outside of Central Church today.
Yeah, it's a somber occasion, but impressive at the same time. Impressive show of force. And you're right, you do get chills, and you see the flyover, the missing man formation, and you see the horseless, the riderless horse that walked by as well, and you hear the clomp, 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 and then you see his wife, Len, and their 3 children, Belle, Mai, and Aries, not far behind the casket as well. And so it's going to be a somber occasion. I mean, no doubt about that. We're going to hear from a lot of his family and friends. There will be speakers during this celebration of life, is what they're calling it. So there'll be a lot of tears, no doubt. This man taken too soon at the age of 54. But I imagine that there are going to be some laughs as well, some stories about this man's life. We're looking forward to hearing about those as well. This family man, this husband, this father of 3, this son and brother. And so we're going to hear a lot of those stories as well once we get inside the church and once the ceremony begins, which we expect to happen momentarily. They're going to try to get everybody that's outside of the church, inside the church, everybody that wants to be inside the church. Hopefully they have enough room for those hundreds upon hundreds of people who you see still standing outside of Central Christian Church.
It really is touching to see all of this just unfold before our eyes, and also very tragic to think about the fact that a man has lost his life here, and that we'll be seeing this play out again on Monday as we say goodbye to the sergeant who was with Trooper Felix when they responded to that motorist on the side of I-15 and D Street and ultimately lost their lives after another driver hit and killed them. As we see people file into the church, many of them perhaps have a story to tell, and many of them don't. I mean, we've heard from people who say, I don't know Trooper Felix, but I felt compelled to be here. We saw Kristen telling us the stories of so many people who said they just wanted to show up, and they had signs of support that hopefully the family saw and brought some comfort to them. But when you lose someone so close to you, the healing process, it takes many different forms. Right now, they're getting the outpouring of support from the community, and of course, they'll get continued support from law enforcement, but it'll be those quiet nights when they turn into bed, when they're just left to their own devices, just left there with their thoughts, that the hardest moments will hit them. And hopefully they can lean on moments like this to know that they're not alone, and to know that this too shall pass, but it will take a while, and grief comes in waves, and hopefully they'll also be comforted by the many memories, the many loving and funny memories that they have with Trooper Felix as well. And so a lot is going to be happening inside that church, but I am comforted, and I'm excited to see that they have this being called a celebration of life, because that's what it is. A man who led a full life. It was cut too soon and cut short, but he had a life, he lived a life, he was loved, and he did love. And so we're going to hear a lot of that, and I think that's important for the community to see as well, because oftentimes we just think of these troopers as people who perhaps pull us over on the side of the road, and we don't see them as the human that they are. And so we're going to see his full humanity on display today inside Central Church.
Look at all those uniforms. Yeah. People have showed up from various different law enforcement agencies here in Southern Nevada, even across the state as well, from North Las Vegas, Metro, Henderson Police, Fire, we have seen as well as they file into the church right now. And our Kristen Drummond is standing very close to the site, and I just want to get an idea from your vantage point what you're witnessing right now.
Well, right now we have seen that Clark County Fire Department, as well as Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, they have brought down the very large flag at this point. And some of the community members who are right here at the entrance holding signs, waving flags, they have also now dispersed. And some of the people who were there were actually students from the very close or nearby Slam Academy. Those students came out of class. They wanted to show their respect. They were here with their teachers as well, just to be here for this moment in time. And we were also able to speak with a number of people from the community, some who wanted to talk on camera, others telling us it was just too difficult at this point in time. And one of the people who spoke with me is actually the president of the College of Southern Nevada, Frederico Zaragoza. He tells me that Trooper Alberto Felix was actually a faculty member at CSN. He was educating students there about law enforcement, and he told me that this is such a huge loss to the community, not only here in the Valley, but also for CSN.
Officer Felix cared about his students, cared about this community, and was basically producing the next generation of law enforcement officers.
Teaching that next generation of law enforcement officers. And as we know, Trooper Felix had been with Nevada State Police for about 5 years, but his resume going much further back with his time with the Air Force as well. So this is such a deep loss for so many here. And like you've mentioned, Dana and Latoya, that we are expecting to hear some fun stories about his life, his impact, not only in Las Vegas, but from where his travels took him while he was with the Air Force. But it is a very somber moment, and even just watching the procession coming through into Central Church, I mean, it made you almost hold your breath, because one, it's beautiful to see the community coming together like that, but it's also so heartbreaking to know why we are all here, and the fact that a man, a father, a husband, a neighbor lost his life in the line of duty.
That's true, and even more sad, Kristen, is that we're going to be doing this on Monday as well, because of course we know that another one, Sergeant Michael Abate, lost his life with Trooper Felix as they were responding to that motorist on the side of the road, and another driver, suspected drunk driver, hit them and took them from all of us too soon. And so, yeah, it really is one of those things, Dana, that you will never forget when you see one of these processions. They're always very heart-moving, and you know, will give you chills literally to see so many people, strangers, friends, family alike, paying their respects, as they should, to our fallen who have died in the line of duty trying to make our society a better place. And unfortunately, they lost their lives and weren't able to make it home to their families.
Yeah, and we're still seeing people filing in from outside the church, so we're expecting the actual funeral ceremony to begin here in the next several minutes or so, but we still have literally hundreds of people outside of the church waiting to file in, and once they get in, our cameras are going to be inside there as well. We'll bring you the entire funeral service right here on the CW, and then coming up at noon, we're going to simulcast on our sister station over on Channel 3 as well, and we'll have complete coverage of the funeral. So as long as it goes on, we're going to be on the air with it.
Yeah, it's what they deserve, and you know, we're going to hear a lot of stories. There's going to be moments in this ceremony where you can imagine we're going to be extremely sad because, again, a life is lost, a life of a person who was so much to so many. But then we're also going to be laughing. We're going to hear more about him, those memories that people say that they certainly won't forget. And there are going to be a number of speakers. Some of them will be folks who worked with Trooper Felix. Others will be close family friends and perhaps family. We don't know yet if a family member will actually speak at the service today, but certainly that is something that we all want to be there and be a part of. And kudos to the family for allowing us to have this type of access and allowing us to be a part of this very personal and traumatic moment in their lives, one that they won't forget. They will have a private ceremony tomorrow, but for them to let us all be a part of it as well, I think is commendable.
Yeah, the burial will be tomorrow from 1 to 2, but today open to the public, and hopefully they have enough room to fit everybody inside the church. It's amazing how many people showed up. I would guess it was more than 1,000. And that procession went on for 3 miles. It took 15 to 20 minutes to get from the front end of the procession to the back end of the procession. It looks like they did have enough parking for everybody that was on site, so that was nice to see for sure. But we're expecting the ceremony to begin here in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was also moving to see not only the amount of law enforcement who showed up, but once Kristen started naming off the various agencies that showed up, some of them as far away as Texas, here to pay tribute. And so that just shows you the camaraderie that they feel, the solidarity that they feel in the law enforcement community. And you're seeing that play out as well on the overpasses, which were on that procession route, as so many law enforcement officers and even firefighters stood at attention on those overpasses to salute to salute Trooper Felix for the very last time.
Yeah, and we saw this play out. It took a long time for them to get from the mortuary, which was there at Jones, and that started around 9:30 this morning, right? And so now we're coming up on 11:30, so it has taken about 2 hours for them to wind their way all the way through the streets of Las Vegas, and they shut down freeways here for this procession, as you would imagine. This thing started at Jones on the west side of the Las Vegas Valley around 9:30 this morning, and the casket was led from Jones all the way up to 95, from the 95 down to the 15, from the 15 to Sahara, and then down Las Vegas Boulevard, the Las Vegas Strip, all the way down to the 215. So it was a very impressive sight. As you saw, not only law enforcement and firefighters and such on their vehicles, saluting, standing at attention, but we also saw regular citizens doing the same thing as well along this procession route. And that's the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign at the south end of the Strip. And there you see Andrew Demura, and he's standing by for us as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to just to relay here that obviously scenes like this are born out of tragedy, right? But you do find some solace out of seeing all of the outpouring of community support, and also seeing that there are people in our community who care and care deeply. Like we mentioned, 12-year-old Teresa Ann Bobcat, who is running in support of the troops and the troopers who were fallen, and also officers. Every time we have one of these awful situations happen in our community, she is doing what she can to show her solidarity, her unity, and support of them. And sadly, at the same time, it seems like tragedy has hit her personally twice now, because she was Trooper Felix's neighbor, and she knew another person who died in the line of duty. And so it's kind of like this juxtaposition that we see every time we have one of these tragedies. It's like literally the best and some of the worst of times. We see the worst of humanity because of the way that they were killed, but then we also start to see the best among us.
So on the left there, you're seeing some images that played out more than an hour ago as that procession began at Palm Mortuary on Jones Boulevard. And that was the beginning of it there. And then this thing went on for 3 miles, they say. That was the estimate, at least from Kelly Curran, who's been doing this a long time. But and the family was riding in that van. His wife Len and 3 children, Belle, Mai, and Aries, were in that van along with other family members. Not all of them we can identify, but they were closely behind the casket. And people are still continuing to file into Central Christian Church, and we expect that most of those people are inside now. And once they get inside, our cameras will get in there, and that's when the funeral service will begin.
Yeah, and of course, there are a lot of people mourning who couldn't make it to the service as well. They've been doing their best to try to put out their condolences online. We've read many of that to you as well. Andrew met some folks who said that they didn't know Trooper Felix, but they felt compelled to show up at the Welcome to Las Vegas sign to catch a glimpse of that procession as it made its way through. He is still there with us right now. Let's go ahead and check in with Andrew. Andrew, I'm sure you're taken back just like all of us as we've seen this procession, this beautiful procession, this heartbreaking procession make its way through our community.
Yeah, it's certainly a surreal sight to see this morning as that procession rolled through here on Las Vegas Boulevard. I mean, patrol unit or patrol car after patrol car from across the country. We saw cars from all the way from Texas being here, and then of course I saw one patrol car from Pasadena, close to my hometown, in Los Angeles. So definitely a sight to see. But what was another sight to see was just the people that were out here. We got the chance to talk to Sandra Patterson. She was out here with her 96-year-old mom, and they just felt so compelled to be out here. We got the chance to talk to her this morning. Take a listen to the reason why she had to be out here.
Well, I'm excited to see the people to come out and to support the police officers and everyone involved. It's a shame this had to happen. I feel sorry for the widows, and it's just a sad situation. So I'm here to support them any way I can.
Here to support them, and she also mentioned how she was hit with tragedy years ago when her husband died from suicide. So she definitely empathizes with all those who have lost a loved one, and especially for those widowers out there. LaToya, Dana.
All right, thank you so much for bringing that to us. And again, I mean, if there's a theme for today, it's that Las Vegas cares.
Yeah,
Las
I know.
Vegas cares.
We're going to play. This is going to play out again on Monday. That is going to begin with a procession in downtown Las Vegas at Palm Mortuary. This one began at Palm Mortuary on the west side of the valley on Jones. The one on Monday for Sergeant Abate is going to take place on Las Vegas Boulevard, north of Fremont Street, by about a mile or so at Palm Mortuary there, and it will follow a similar procession as it heads south on Las Vegas Boulevard onto the 95, then onto the 15, and then Sahara over to Las Vegas Boulevard and straight down. So that procession will look a lot like this one did today, and they will end up at Central Christian Church because of the size of the facility there. So this is going to play out again. We expect to see almost the same exact thing play out again. Right, and sadly, it's also happening as we're mourning the loss of 3 faculty members at UNLV who were killed days ago. Another person fighting for their life, a visiting professor. And so this community is getting hit really hard, really fast. It seems like everything is piling onto us all at one time. But one thing that we do know is that we've heard from so many of you who are in the thick of all of these tragedies is that we are big and strong, and we know that we're coming together. We see that right now on full display at the church there in Henderson. So many people, despite everything that we're facing here right now, so many people saying, you know, I'm going to do what I can to show up and to show my unity, to show my support. We see that happening for the folks at UNLV. We see that happening right now for Trooper Felix, and it is a beautiful sight to see, as tragic as it all is. And again, it was born out of just pure violence. But we're starting to see the best among us show up in huge ways to pay their respects, and we know they're going to do it again on Monday. Again, once the ceremony starts, we will have our cameras inside. We're going to bring that to you. We expect that to happen at any moment, so we're just standing by for that. But I was reading some of the remembrances online, including this one from a colleague who goes unidentified, but it says, Dear Master Sergeant Felix, I'm going to miss you dearly. I know that we haven't talked in a long time, but just know you will be forever in my heart. You helped me through one of the hardest times of my life. I was not okay, and you knew it somehow. You extended your hand, and I held fast and hard because you were one of the very few who wanted to help me. I don't think you knew it at the time, but I really was not okay. It was more than depression. You helped me out of that darkness. I owe you so much, and I don't think that I can ever repay you for your understanding, guidance, and love. Your guidance, caring heart, and level head helped so many people more than you realize. Please know that. So these are the remembrances that we're seeing online, and we're going to hear the same thing play out once that ceremony begins.
Yeah, I love that. And it just goes to show you never know what impact you're making on others. What that person just said there. It was absolutely beautiful. It was also beautiful to see just the very start of this at the funeral home. Our Evan Schreiber was there from the start. And Evan, I know just like us, you too were moved by seeing the show of support and solidarity there.
Yeah, it was emotional not only to see the sights of all the law enforcement officers packed into the parking lot here at Palm South Jones Mortuary, but the sound as well, because it was nearly silent. Only the honor guard calling out instructions as we watched him watch the casket of Trooper Alberto Felix being brought out of the mortuary and loaded onto the truck. I know we've been showing you some of the imagery from it as we watch those officers lined up in salute to the trooper, the 54-year-old trooper who joined the Department of Public Safety back in January of 2019. As we saw that procession start here at the intersection of Jones and Oakey, as we've been keeping you updated throughout the morning here, and keeping you posted to everything we saw out there. And it was touching to see the tributes, the officers standing in solidarity from all around the state. We saw Reno Police here. We saw Moapa Valley law enforcement. We saw even other agencies, other departments as well. Nevada Department of Transportation had their crews as part of the procession here, driving along the stretch, headed out of here, out of the mortuary, headed north on Jones Boulevard, and ending up where we've been watching at the church and keeping you updated here, both on air and online at news3lv.com. So talking to some of the officers here, talking to some of the retired officers here who showed up. I asked them specifically what emotions they have showing up to these. And unfortunately, one of the retired officers who was part of the procession today told me that it is not if an officer will lose their life in the line of duty, but when an officer will lose their life in the line of duty. And yet they continue to show up, show support for the agency, in this case showing their support for the Nevada State Police and Trooper Alberto Felix, and they're going to continue to do that as we're going to continue our coverage here and keep you updated from the mortuary. We'll be here live throughout the rest of this day, throughout the rest of this broadcast, to keep you posted to some of the sights and sounds that we saw here as that procession was starting up here near Jones and Oakey. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, I love what you said, Evan, when he talked about the fact that they continue to show up. And Trooper Felix certainly fits under that description, too. He could have gotten off of that shift. He didn't have to be there at 3:23 overnight, but yet he wanted to be there in the thick of it. He loved his job. So now we're inside of the church there, Central Church in Henderson, and let's go ahead and listen in. All right, so we have been watching the beginning of the memorial service for Trooper Alberto Felix right now, and this is a procession that first started just around 9:30 this morning. So we're more than 2 hours into the tributes that will continue to pour in for Alberto Felix, who passed away November 30th, 2023. In the line of duty, he was killed his end of watch after 4 years with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol. Badge number 502, you see there proudly displayed there on the screen. That's inside Central Church in Henderson. It will take a while for all of the people who showed up at that church to pay their respects, both in uniform and out of uniform, to file into that huge sanctuary there. And then they will begin what they are calling a celebration of life. You hear the bagpipes playing right now underneath Alberto Felix's face as we all pause to remember a life well lived, a job well done. Again, he served 4 years with the Highway Patrol as a trooper, and he also served in the military with the United States Air Force. But we're also learning more and more layers to this man who donned the uniform, who did everything he could to protect and serve our community. We know that he is a husband to Lynn. We know that he is a father of 3. We also know that he has countless colleagues and also friends, Dana, who are remembering him today.
Yeah, and we see them in force today, right? So it's not just the people that he served with, the people that know him. It's people from other law enforcement agencies all around Southern Nevada, some from Northern Nevada, some from even out of state. North Las Vegas Police, Henderson Police. We've seen the various fire departments on scene, even tow truck drivers who put their lives on the line when they're trying to help people by the side of these freeways too, like these troopers who lost their lives on the D Street exit there on Interstate 15 northbound. This was just last week, and we are saying goodbye today to Trooper Alberto Felix, and then on Monday it'll be Sergeant Michael Abate at the same church, Central Christian Church. And we'll have live coverage of that on Monday as well. We're expecting the ceremony here to begin at any moment. We saw the casket inside the sanctuary. We heard the bagpipes as well. So the ceremony expected to begin here at any moment. And we're expecting to hear from a lot of his family and friends remembering the life of this man, Alberto Felix, gone too soon at the age of 54.
We've already heard from some members in our community who wanted to pay their respects, who talked to our reporters talking about how they just felt the need to be there. They didn't necessarily know Trooper Felix, but they knew his sacrifice, and so they felt the need to show up. We saw others who had signs showing their support for the family. In fact, we've seen countless others who have taken to online to pay their respects, and one of them happens to be a family friend of the Felix family, Rhea Muller. She actually put out something online earlier, and this is to the actual survivors of Trooper Felix. She says, "Dear Lynn," who is his wife, Belle, Mai, and Aries, his children, she says, "We are deeply sorrow for this very, very sad situation, for the news. Words cannot explain how devastating it is for all, more especially for you guys. Felix is such a great friend, brother, son, husband, and father. I witnessed his compassion to love you, only Belle at that time, so she knew them very early on before they had the other children." And she just goes on to say of what a deep loss this would be and that she's definitely going to miss him. We're now inside of Central Church. Let's go ahead and take it all in.
Uniform officers, take seats. Good morning and welcome to Central Church. My name is Michael Kitchen and I have the honor of serving as one of the pastors here today, and it is a privilege to be with you, honoring and remembering our family member. On behalf of the Felix family, I would like to thank everyone in attendance today, along with all the people that made this service possible. Special thank you to our community and the overwhelming support that you have shown over the last several days. Thank you to the Nevada State Police Department and especially the entire Honor Guard. Today we celebrate the life of Nevada State Trooper Alberto Felix, or better known to his close friends and family as El Gato. We have lost a husband, a father, an uncle, a son, a military veteran, friend, mentor, and community hero. Alberto was the best of the best. He dedicated his entire life to serving our community and our country for over 2.5 decades. We are here to honor a man who has left behind a great legacy. This service will be where we can reflect and remember the moments that we all shared and all the precious moments that we all got to spend together. This will be a time where we can honor, remember, and celebrate the life of Alberto Felix. I would like to welcome to the stage to open us up in prayer this morning, Father Dave Casalegio.
I would invite you to please stand. We begin, as we do all things, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. The Lord be with you. In the waters of baptism, Alberto died with Christ and rose with him to new life. May he now share with him eternal glory. My brothers and sisters, we have come together to renew our trust in Christ, who, by dying on the cross, has freed us from eternal death, and by rising, has opened for us the gates of heaven. Let us pray for Alberto, that he may share in Christ's victory. And let us pray for ourselves, that the Lord may grant us the gift of his loving consolation. Almighty God and Father, it is our certain faith that your Son, who died on the cross, was raised from the dead, the first fruits of all who have fallen asleep. Grant that through this mystery, Alberto, who has gone to his rest in Christ, may share in the joy of his resurrection. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. And a reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God and faith in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. Otherwise, how could I have told you that I was going to prepare a place for you? I am indeed going to prepare a place for you. And then I shall come back to take you with me, that where I am, you also may be." The Gospel of the Lord. Please be seated. There's no question but that there's an understandable, very good reason for sadness. You know, a person who was a son, who was a wife for 22 years, the father of 3, the relative, the friend to many of you, the co-worker to many of you, is no longer with us. And the hurt has to be real and is real. But the one I feel the most for, without question, is Anacita. Anacita, this is your son. You know, he came from your womb. You brought him into the world. I really believe that what's supposed to happen is that in 30 or 40 years, he should be where you are at your funeral, not you at his funeral. That just seems wrong, so totally wrong. I've been ordained well over 40 years, and I've done many, many, many funerals for virtually every conceivable reason that could be thought of, and at every age, from coming right out of the womb to maybe a few weeks ago, a 105-year-old lady. The fact is, our faith has to be, there's really not a lot of choice. Our faith has to be that God puts us on this earth, and at some point, he takes us home. And we have to trust that that's what happened to your son, that he's with the God who created him. He's with the God who delivered him and brought him into this world and has taken him home. There's no question that Alberto was a hero. But you know, within the Catholic Church, we tend to call people who died for the faith a martyr because they died for the faith. They wouldn't back off of their belief. Well, your son, your husband, your father, your relative truly is a martyr. He's a martyr for his country. You know, 24 years he served in the Air Force. And then I believe it's 5+ years, you told me, that he served with the Nevada State Police. And he was killed in the line of duty. I don't know what much more can be said, but the fact that he truly died a martyr. He also died, for many of you that may not know, the American dream. He was born in the Philippines. He wasn't an American citizen originally. He came here. You know, he ended up joining the Air Force. And as I mentioned, for 24 years. He married in Alaska, of all places. He married a beautiful woman and raised 3 children. After he retired from the Air Force, he became a Nevada State Trooper. Truly, the American dream lived out, without question. Very briefly, I am a Catholic priest, and I know that many of you may not share the same religion, but are Christian. And the thing I'm going to say, I would know, is truly right, not only for a Catholic, but for any denomination. And that is at the basic core, the basic truth within Christianity is that life is sacred. And it's sacred because it's created by God. The rest of what's done is an attempt to proclaim that teaching. And that teaching comes from the book of Genesis, in the creation story, where it says that man and woman God created, and that when he did, he said it was good. In support of that teaching, if you turn the page of Genesis, and this is to paraphrase, I'll grant you that, but it says that if you want to know what God looks like, the easiest way to find out, turn around and look at each other, because it says that all of us are created in the image and in the likeness of our God. The great prophet Isaiah in the 49th chapter says that before we were born, God knew us. And he knew us because he formed us in the palm of his hand, and he called us by name. The story of Jesus in the Gospels, 100% the same. In every and anything that Jesus said or did, he attempted to help people to believe in themselves simply and solely because they were creations of God, and he taught them to find in that a sense of value, a sense of worth, a sense of sacredness in being a creation of God. The reason I mention all of this is because I firmly believe if the church is to give you reason for faith, it will do that to the degree that you, with all it is that you are able to say yes. Yes, I believe that God creates it, that when he does, it is good. And if you can make that most basic profession of faith, then I would challenge all of you to take it from the general and bring it in to the particular. I would challenge you to make those words of Scripture do what they're meant to do, and that is to come alive, to be relevant, not just for another day and another people of another time, but for the here and the now. And with a sense of confidence, be able to say that God created your son, that he created your husband, that he created your father, your relative, your friend, your coworker, that he created Alberto, and that when he did, he said it was good. Yeah, we can all turn and look at each other, all of us. We're created in the image and in the likeness of our God. But I'd ask you to do something. Only take a moment. Think back to a time when you were with him, and maybe something special happened. And if you can put an image of him in your mind from that moment. You know, for Arlene, 22 years ago, when the two of you got married, you know, maybe you guys looked at each other. You know, maybe a tear in the eye, a smile on the face. But both of you knew you were doing something good. You were doing something worthwhile. You know, for his mother, hopefully when he was young, maybe even in the Philippines, he did something that put a smile on your face, made you kind of proud, you know, made you happy. You know, for his kids, you know, maybe he took you somewhere, did something with you. You know, for his relatives and friends, maybe you had a meal with him on a special occasion. You know, for the people that worked with him, maybe he said something at some point that you can still remember. No matter what it is, if you can picture him in your mind from that moment, recognize a part of what you saw and were with is a part of what our God is about. For he too was created in the image and in the likeness of our God. Be able to believe 54 years ago.
We want to welcome in our News 3 viewers on the NBC side as we say goodbye to our CW viewers. We have been simulcasting and talking about the funeral procession and leading up to the funeral that you were just seeing just a glimpse of for Trooper Alberto Felix, who was hit and killed by a suspected drunk driver last Thursday. We have a number of reporters as well who will be talking to us on the backside of this, but we're going to watch this in its entirety, and we will see you on the other side.
He is, we also may be. There's no question. It hurts to lose someone that you loved, someone that meant something to you, someone that worked with you, someone that cared about you. But I would hope you balance that hurt. You balance that hurt with an understanding and a true belief that that good man truly is both at peace and at rest in one of those places that Jesus, our Lord and brother, promised. He gave his word that he would go to prepare for Alberto and eventually, in time, for all of us. Before we go our separate ways, let us take leave of Alberto. May our farewell express our affection for him. May it ease our sadness and strengthen our hope. One day, we shall joyfully greet him again, when the love of Christ, which conquers all things, destroys even death itself. Please stand. Into your hands, Father of mercies, we commend Alberto in the sure and certain hope that together with all who have died in Christ, he will rise with him on the last day. Merciful Lord, turn toward us and listen to our prayers. Open the gates of paradise for Alberto and help us to remain to comfort one another with assurances of faith until we all meet in Christ and are with you and with Alberto forever. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And please join me in prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, from evil. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. And Alberto, may the angels lead you into paradise. May the martyrs come to welcome you and take you to the holy city, the new and eternal Jerusalem. Please be seated.
Thank you, Father, for those amazing words and that message of hope. I'd like to welcome to the stage at this time Governor Joe Lombardo.
Thank you. Thank each and every one of you for being here today. It's an honor to remember the life of Nevada State Trooper Alberto Felix. Just 1 week ago, we lost a hero. Killed in the line of duty, he worked to protect his fellow Nevadans in the early morning hours. In the days that have followed, our hearts have been heavy as we mourn both Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate. Our grief has only been compounded by the senseless loss at UNLV. Before I go into further comments, I want to thank each and every law enforcement officer in the room today, every law enforcement leader, and members of our military, and exactly for what you do. Thank you. It's difficult to process and mourn these tragic losses, but I am deeply moved by how many people here today to honor Trooper Felix. It's evidence of his bravery, his courage, and his tremendous impact on our community across the board. By all counts, Trooper Felix was an outstanding law enforcement officer, but Trooper Felix embodied much more. Trooper Felix was a devoted husband, beloved father, and a cherished friend. In many ways, Trooper Felix represented what all law enforcement officers strive to be: an honorable officer, a dedicated family man, and a trusted community member. Trooper Felix's death is an immeasurable and irreplaceable loss for his family. And it is a tremendous loss for Nevada law enforcement and the state of Nevada. We will all feel his absence deeply, but we will remember him by the love he demonstrated to our community. John 15:13 tells us, "There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends." Trooper Felix demonstrated the sacrifice to you, to me, to Las Vegas, and to the entire state of Nevada. As a former law enforcement officer, I know the daily sacrifice and service of our law enforcement officers and their families. However, nothing can prepare a family or a community for when an officer like Trooper Felix makes the ultimate sacrifice. In the face of this profound loss, we must rally around the Felix family and our brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Every day, our law enforcement officers demonstrate extraordinary acts of courage, and we must ensure that their bravery, courage, and faithfulness are never forgotten by our community. We can do that by remembering Trooper Alberto Felix and honoring his life today and every day forward. As governor, I promise that we will never forget Trooper Felix and that the state of Nevada will continue to honor his memory. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Lombardo. Thank you for your leadership, your love and compassion for the entire state of Nevada. You are appreciated, sir. If I could welcome now to the stage Nevada State Police Director George Tagliati, please.
Good morning, everyone. Certainly thank you for being here. I am proud to be here today to honor Nevada State Trooper Alberto Felix. We come together in our shared grief for the loss of Trooper Felix and to honor his life and his legacy. On behalf of the Department of Public Safety, Nevada State Police, our profound condolences to Trooper Felix's family and friends, and thanking them for sharing him with us and supporting him as a state trooper, doing what he loved and becoming one of our best. In this time of sorrow, our community has rallied together in support of one another. This is exhibited by the flowers, the gifts, the kind messages, and symbols of hope and strength that cover the tribute highway patrol vehicle located at our headquarters on Sunset. Our community stood together last night at a vigil held at the Allegiant Stadium to honor and remember the lives of Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate, and also the victims that were tragically lost at UNLV. The response and support from this community has rained hope and faith on our humanity. We stand together united and will honor the lives and ultimate sacrifice of these heroes, and will hold close to our hearts the legacy, courage of their dedication. When an officer graduates from an academy, a police academy, he or she take an oath to serve and protect. They make the choice to put all others above themselves, and they remain committed to this oath throughout their lives, on duty, off duty, and in retirement. It's part of the fabric of their being and defines their career. Trooper Felix made the oath to serve and protect long before becoming a Nevada State Trooper. He served honorably in the United States Air Force. He joined our department as a proud veteran and continued his service to his country, his state, and his community. Trooper Felix's final act of courage serves as a reminder to our law enforcement brothers and sisters that we will always stand in harm's way to protect others. In the early morning hours of November 30th, Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate demonstrated this courage and dedication by putting their lives on the line for the safety of others. Alberto Felix was taken from us too soon, but he will live on in all of us. His story of bravery and courage will be shared by his family, friends, co-workers, and inspire us all. To his family, his wife, children, you will forever carry his light within you, and his legacy will live in his children, whom he loves so dearly. We are honored to have had Trooper Alberto Felix as part of the Nevada Department of Public Safety, your Nevada State Police, and your Highway Patrol. I would ask that all first responders please stand now. Honor Guard Commander, please call the room to attention.
Honor Guard, uniformed officers, attention.
Today we will be awarding Trooper Alberto Felix with the Medal of Valor. The Medal of Valor certificate reads as follows. On November 30th, 2023, Sergeant Michael Abate and Trooper Alberto Felix exemplified heroism and dedication while assisting a motorist on Interstate 15, D Street off-ramp. In a tragic turn, they were struck by a passing motorist. Their selfless service to the great state of Nevada will be forever honored as they pay the ultimate sacrifice. Their legacy, unwavering bravery, and dedication lives on, and their memory and spirit are inspirational to us all. The medal will now be presented to Alberto's wife, Arlene, by Lieutenant Colonel Martin Malesko. To the Felix family, please know that you're surrounded by the love and support of your law enforcement family. We will always stand by your side and never forget that Alberto laid down his life for the community that he loved. Thank you so much.
Honor Guard, uniformed officers, at ease. Take seats.
Thank you, Director Tagliati. Thank you for your leadership, your love and compassion that you show the family and your department. At this time, I'd like to invite up to the stage Trooper Martin Moran.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to start by thanking the church, the pastor, and the father for aiding us in our time of grief. Thank you, elected officials, honored guests, and all our police, fire, towing, EMS, friends for their tireless support through these difficult and past times. To Alberto's family, on behalf of our state police family, I extend to you our most profound condolences. Even though he is watching over us, I am extremely proud to have known the man that touched so many hearts and brought us all here together today. There are so many words I can utilize to describe our beloved Alberto. And even with the help of a dictionary, thesaurus, and trusty old Google, that still would not be enough. So instead, I will honor him as I came to know him over the years, starting at the beginning of our careers with the Nevada Highway Patrol. Our careers began together in February 2019 as cadets here in Las Vegas, Nevada. The very first day during formation, the famous Reese's chocolate wrapper incident occurred. That set the tone for what was to come during the academy, but for me, that immediately showed me who he was. A man that had honorably served in the Air Force and joined the Highway Patrol at 50 years old was simply not ready to throw in the towel. I joined at 26 years old, and I will tell you that this man could have easily ran circles around me. But instead, he chose to push us forward and show us the way. Many of us, having little to no law enforcement or military experience, had no clue what we were in for, but Alberto did. Like an old school father, he would patiently and quietly watch as many of us would fumble, only ever speaking up to ever so gently push us in the right direction, but at the same time letting us figure out the issue for ourselves. He was a selfless and humble leader who many of us came to admire and even become unofficial children of. Moving on to our career state troopers, we finished field training in January of 2020, where we began working on the same squad and have ever since. Every shift bid would come up, and even though we were tempted to jump ship, our loyalty would not let us split up. We were in this together, and neither of us were going anywhere. Felix was a larger-than-life figure where many of us would seek him out to vent, ask for advice, or just have a genuine conversation. He literally had all the answers. He was the kind of person who had been there, done that, and written the book on it. This man also had the ability to talk people in handcuffs, and then on top of that, give them the old dad guilt trip on top of it. Letting them know what they did wrong, and 99% of the time, that was enough to humble them and keep the peace. This is a rare trait in our profession that takes years and years of experience to perfect, but he had already done it. Felix was passionate about removing impaired drivers off the road. This man easily outworked many of us, and trust me, he was right on my heels for arrests, but he beat me in every single other category as well. His work ethic, sense of humor, perseverance was truly unmatched. He was just a different breed, and I'm really going to miss him. Next, we move into who he was and how he helped mold many of us into who we are today. Any idea I ever mentioned to him, he would encourage it and even give me pointers, because that's just the type of person he was, motivating and caring. I swear that Thomas the Train was modeled after him, because this man had an endless amount of energy at his age, and it was really unmatched. We worked graveyard, and a lot of those early mornings turned to late mornings and even afternoons. But one thing I could guarantee was whether I was in the office past 8 a.m. or getting there after, he would always be there, or show up slightly after. Seriously, his company during those late mornings was as guaranteed as taxes or as the sun rising. No matter how late I stayed, I knew he would be there to keep me company. I even nicknamed my overtime buddy, because we were both there, always there together. It could be our days off, and I could sit there wishing for his company, and no kidding, he probably heard me, because sure enough, he'd show up. Not only did this strengthen our friendship, but it also spread to the whole department, sworn and non-sworn alike. Like I said, only taxes and the sunrise could match his attendance. He built many friendships, more than what an average trooper does. That, coupled with his bright and positive personality, meant no one could resist saying hi, and don't even think he would let you get away without saying hi either. Among those late mornings, I would be present while his wife or children would call to find out where Dad was, if lunch or breakfast was needed, and give him the day's itinerary. Alberto would respond with so much love, patience, and care that I only hope to one day have. Because I'll be honest, with me running on fumes at that point, you're better off winning the lottery. But this man would sit there and give every waking moment of his time to anyone who needed it, especially his family. This is among many things we all learn from him, because it is said easily. But when you see someone doing it after working so hard for so many hours and being so genuine about it, it was truly a beautiful thing to see. It'll get to the point where whether I was sick or not, I would threaten to get him sick. Or tell him if he didn't leave, he would end up being sick just like me. This man would literally say, "I'll be okay," and put on a mask. Whether it was pre-COVID, during COVID, or post-COVID, there was no stopping him. But over the years, the constant push to get him home was sinking in. I was honored to see someone who was loved and missed so much go home. Even though he was old enough to be my father, and I did not have the life experience or knowledge to share with him. I have inner peace, knowing I would help get him home sooner than later to the ones who loved him. Some of you may not know, but he also assumed the responsibility of our snack bar. And let me tell you, business was booming. For being a father figure to all of us, he also became the grandfather who spoiled his kids rotten and got them everything they asked for. And I will 100% vouch that lunch might be a once-a-week thing for a graveyard trooper. And those snacks might as well have been fine dining gourmet. Especially after working a whole shift without a meal. I swear all he needed was a little horn and some generic Ice Cream Man song playing, because if you saw his car in the parking lot, whether it was jail or at the office or on the side of the road, your energy drink fix and hunger were instantly going to be remedied. During the past few months, I even convinced him to let me help him, just to make sure he spent more time at home. Like I said, I cannot offer much to what was Alberto Felix, but I could offer time. And that is priceless. I can go on for hours speaking of a man whose life was just as rich as his personality, but that's not possible. In conclusion, never forget who he was, what he was, what he did for each and every one of us. His legacy will live on through his family, friends, lessons, memories, and the honor, dedication, and pride to which he gave to his country and the citizens of the state of Nevada. We will never forget his courage, love, support, and relentless determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Trooper Moran, for the memories and the stories. May I please have Trooper Travis Perkins to the stage, please.
Told myself I was going to get through this. Bear with me. A hero is not just a figure of grandeur. It's someone who, in the face of extraordinary circumstances, acts with courage, honor, and self-sacrifice. This perfectly describes Trooper Felix, a man whose legacy is etched not just in his service with the Nevada Highway Patrol, but also in his honorable years with the United States Air Force. His dedication to this country in multiple uniforms speaks volumes of his character and commitment. Our journey began with the Nevada State Police Academy Class of '85, February 2019. Unaware of where this path would lead us, it was Felix who immediately caught our attention. His contagious energy, bright smile, and shining demeanor could light up any room. Every greeting from Felix was warm and personal. His usual, "Hey, what's up, bro?" could lift anyone's spirit. You could guarantee to hear that from him every time you saw him. In our first week at the Academy, Felix's integrity shone through during a humorous incident involving the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup wrapper. He claimed responsibility for it, showcasing his readiness to shoulder burdens for the greater good. This moment encapsulated the essence of Felix, always willing to take one for the team. A trait undoubtedly honed during his time in the Air Force. Felix's love and respect for his family were the bedrock of his character. He spoke of them with immense pride and affection, and his commitment to them was unwavering. This deep-rooted family love translated into his work ethic at Highway Patrol. As the eldest in our class, Felix naturally assumed the role of dad. Whether it was offering a smile, aiding in study, or providing support through the times of the academy, Felix was like a father looking out for his kin. Felix's dedication to traffic safety, his unwavering commitment to taking impaired drivers off the road were legendary. His efforts in preventing roadway tragedies saved countless lives. After grueling graveyard shifts, Felix's energy never seemed to wane. He would be ready for another 10 hours, smiling, laughing, and thoroughly enjoying his job. His enthusiasm was a testament to his love for his work and the people he served. In the midst of our admiration and respect for Felix, we cannot overlook the immense love and support of his family. His wife and 3 children, your role in shaping the man we came to know and respect was paramount. Your unwavering support and sacrifices you made enabled Felix to be extraordinary state trooper and individual he was. His conversations were often adorned with stories and prideful mentions of his family, illustrating the deep bond and love he shares with each of you. Your strength and resilience in these times of sorrow are a testament to the strong family foundation that Felix cherished so deeply. We, his extended family at the Nevada State Police, stand with you in honoring his memory and are profoundly grateful for the time we were privileged to share with Felix. At time made possible by your love and support. Now the time has come for us to continue where he left off. It's our turn to carry on the mantle, looking out for each other, aiding those in need, and serving with the same dedication that he exemplified. Alberto Felix, you will forever be in our hearts and minds. Rest easy, my brother. We've got it from here.
Thank you, Trooper Perkins. Thank you for your friendship and your loyalty to Alberto. You have served your friend well today. If I could please ask Jonah Ayet to please come to the podium.
Morning, everyone. When I heard that 2 officers were killed in a hit and run at a traffic stop, you take a moment. You think about their friends, their family, children, and you feel for them. But you feel for them for someone that you don't know. So a few days later, watching the night's highlights, I saw the tribute to the 2 fallen officers. And the picture of Trooper Felix came up, and I realized I actually knew him. About a year ago, Trooper Felix pulled me over, and just got off the phone arguing with the ex-wife, opening a restaurant, very stressful times. And I thought the worst while he approached my vehicle. Rolled down the window. I got the dad out of him, I would assume. And he talked to me, asked me what I was in a hurry for. We spoke about our family, our careers, gave me a very stern warning, and told me to be safe. Probably a week later, I ran into him at a store, buying snacks and energy drinks, I would assume. And he just recognized me. We spoke again, asked me how the family was doing, how the restaurant was doing. You know, this is a genuine guy. Tried to get him into the restaurant a few times, super busy, everybody is, right? But I felt compelled to reach out to the number I had saved in my phone as Trooper Felix /Dad when I watched the news. Arlene reached back out a day later, convinced me to come do this, and can't say no, right? I'm moved to be here. I'm sorry for your loss. I've been honored to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. At this time, I would like to invite Alberto's oldest daughter to the stage, Alyssa Bell Felix.
Good afternoon. I'm his oldest daughter. Thank you all for being here today. This is very memorable. Thank you all for being here so much, for showing your support. I feel it in here. This is beautiful. Some of you knew my father, but for those who didn't get the chance to, this picture does not do him justice for who he really was when you met him, when you meet him. He has this beautiful smile, and it's not just an ordinary smile. No, when he smiles, you can feel the love and comfort, and you just know that everything would be okay. He just had this thing with him. I don't know what it was, but this dad energy that just made you feel safe. Safe and just so comfortable to be around. You could open up to him about anything and everything, and he would just lend you an ear, and he would always know the answer to everything. It was so contagious. You would just smile back at him and you couldn't help but hold the conversation with each other and just laugh. He would turn a bad day into a good one. He somehow always knew how to do that. With his words, or he'll crack a dad joke, which is so him to do. Sorry. Until the end, he was a hero. And I knew that. And I always knew that. No matter what he did. And in his work especially, yes. But at home, too. Because I always felt protected. And I knew that no matter where he was, he would always be there for each and every one of us, including his friends and his co-workers, because he loved you guys all so very much. Spoiling you guys at the snack bar. It's always something he always talked about, and I would help with him with that. I'm sorry. I was just the kind of person he was, and I could never ask for a better father than him. He really dedicated his life in protecting us, all of us, and just making us feel safe and comfortable and happy. He was a great father and a great friend. He would do everything for us and anything. He would never complain, too. We could give him, we'll say, do this, do that, and he'll just say, I'll do it. Or to his friends, like, I'll do it, bro, I got you. He'll do it without hesitation and with a smile on his face. It was so genuine, and you knew that you could trust him. He'll be there for you. His passion for this work was so great. When he got into 2 accidents prior, I told him to quit, but he loved doing this job so very much. He couldn't leave. And I never understood why until now, really seeing it. He loves helping people. He has this thing for always wanting to help people. I think he really wants to see and help and make this world a better place and have smiles on all your guys' faces. It's something that he really wanted to see until the very end. And he did that because I lived a very happy life because of him and with my siblings and with my mom. He was everything to me. And although he's gone now, I know that he'll always be here with us, guiding us and protecting us through this all. Sorry. I know he'll never leave. And that puts a smile on my face because I know he'll always be here for us, for all of us, for my family. He'll always be here with a smile on his face and his lovely dad hug. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa, for sharing your father with us, for sharing the love that he had for all of us. You've honored him well. You've honored your family well today, and I know that he's smiling down and so very proud of you. Please be seated. At this time, the family would like to share a video with you, and afterwards, the honor guard will begin their ceremonies. Please enjoy.
Here on the Channel 3 side, we're going to break away from the coverage of the funeral for Trooper Alberto Felix. You can watch continued coverage on our sister station, the CW, which is Channel 33, Cox Cable Channel 6. It will be continuing right now. So if you want to see more of the funeral, you can check it out on our CW station. Meanwhile, we'll be going back to regularly scheduled programming here on Channel 3, and we'll have a complete wrap-up of this coming up at 3 o'clock.
That's right. They have one more speaker from Central Church that will wrap this up, and then we'll hear that final radio call. But again, you can watch us on the CW. We will see you here at News 3. We'll have the latest coverage on this funeral memorial and also on the news of the day.
Uniform officers, take seats.
Henry 6502. Status. Henry 6502. Status. Henry 6502. Status. This channel is code red for Henry 6502. No response to a status check. This is the final call for Trooper Alberto Felix. Henry 6502. Do you copy? Attention citizens, friends, and family. Trooper Alberto Felix, Nevada High Patrol call sign Henry 6502, lost his life while serving his community with dignity, courage, and valor. We thank him for his dedication, loyalty, and service to the citizens of the state of Nevada. Trooper Felix influenced many for his unending compassion, respect for all people, and service in many facets of law enforcement. All those he served will remember him. Trooper Felix, please rest in peace. Know that your legacy will live on through your blood family, as well as your brothers and sisters in blue. Your sacrifice will never be forgotten. Trooper Alberto Felix, Henry 6502, your end of watch 1042 time is November 30th, 2023, 0413 hours. Godspeed, sir. Rest in peace. We have it from here.
Please be seated. The Bible refers to God in many ways, particularly calling him the Good Shepherd, and that he promises to comfort all those who mourn. God tells us that wherever two or more are gathered in his name, that he is here. Proverbs 3:5 reminds us, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding. Let's listen to what God is saying to us as we read his word and reflect on the promises that are our hope for today. 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. All of our hearts are tremendously heavy right now. Last week, we lost two of our first responder heroes, Trooper Felix and Sergeant Abate. 2 days ago, another tragedy struck at the UNLV campus. It is easy to become disconnected and confused about all the things. Here at Central, we are a rescuing church and have a heart for this city. We meet people right where they're at, including in the middle of their grief. It is okay to not be okay and to come as you are. We invite everyone here that's in this room and everyone watching to please join us Saturday at our 5 p.m. service, where we'll be having a moment of silence and special prayer for our first responders, victims, and community that has been affected by the recent events. It is extremely important that we stay unified as a community and pull together in times like this. We must not allow the evil of the world to get a hold of our hearts. At this time, I would like to ask if anyone called Alberto family, friend, or a brother in arms, please stand and join me in showing his family your continued support. Arlene and the entire Felix family, please look around. Remember this moment in the days, weeks, months, and years to come, that you are not alone, that this community stands with you, and we will continue to be the light. I would like to ask everyone to please remain standing as we finish service with a prayer. And I ask you to repeat this prayer softly in your own heart. Lord, thank you for loving me. Lord, I believe in you, I love you, and I trust you. Thank you for protecting me every day that I wear this uniform. Lord, protect my heart and place a hedge of protection around me, my partners, and all of my loved ones. Give me the strength and wisdom needed each day to serve and protect the community you have entrusted me with. When duty calls me to danger, be with me and give me the courage to overcome. Lord, I give my life to you. Thank you for giving me this day and all the days to come. May everything that I do bring honor and glory to your name. Lord, thank you for Alberto's life and all the years that we shared with him. We lift him up to you today in honor of the good we saw in him and the love that we felt from him. Please give us strength to leave him in your care. We ask for your comfort and strength today. Amen. At this time, we ask for everyone to remain standing, but stay at your seats while the Felix family is escorted out by the honor guard.
So we're just listening in and watching the celebration of life for Trooper Alberto Felix, who died last Thursday at the hands of a suspected driver as he and Sergeant Michael Abate responded to a motorist on the side of the road. This was at 15 and also D Street there. We heard from his daughter. She was very emotional. She received a standing ovation as she said goodbye to her father. And then we heard that chilling last radio call. We will see you at 3 o'clock on Channel 3.